First car?
First car was a 1996 Volvo 850 Turbo.
Wow, I was way off the mark there.
It had 222 horsepower, which for a 16-year-old felt like a pretty good amount of power. I used to take it to the drag strip.
Yeah. Really? Did you? Welcome to the Full Throttle Podcast, where life choices are made at 100 miles an hour. I'm your host, Mickey Andrade, professional wrench turner, serial Skyline project car addict, and guy who somehow made a career out of bad decisions. From botched builds to track day drama, we're going to dive right in. And ladies and gentlemen, gearheads and petrol junkies, welcome to the show. We're ripping the fenders off normal car talk and taking it straight to Redline today. Our guest is the godfather of quirks and features, the man who turned YouTube car reviews into a cultural mosh pit, and the dude who gave enthusiasts their own auction stage with cars and bids. He's roasted supercars, praised minivans, and made us fall in love with the strangest details no one else would ever notice. He's part journalist, part entertainer, part mad scientist of the automotive world. So buckle up, strap your helmets, and prepare for some tire shredding insight, because joining us today is the voice of a generation of car enthusiasts, Mr. Doug DeMuro.
Hello. Thank you for having me. What a great intro.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, man, you've done so much for the car world, and specifically in the San Diego area, which we're honored to have you in our backyard, which
It's
is
cool
really
to
cool.
be here. We got me, you, and TJ.
Yeah.
We're killing it.
We got a lot. Even Dustin Williams is down here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of YouTube activity in San Diego, so it's a good place to be.
Yeah, we don't need to be in L.A.
Yeah, where's LA? That's
we don't
so
need to
far
do
from
any of
here.
that. Although everybody thinks that LA and San Diego are next to each other. That's one of my big complaints about the world.
Yeah,
I get friends from the
you're
East Coast
right.
being like, yo, I'm down in LA, let's have lunch. And I'm like,
Yeah, you're 3 hours away.
yeah, we're not doing that.
With no traffic.
Right.
No, and that's the thing is, like, I go up to Orange County and I'm like, oh, I'm heading up to LA today.
Right.
Nah, not really.
It feels like it.
It does feel like it. But I will say Orange County is not bad for us because it's literally, well, I live in Oceanside, so I
not
get
bad
through
for you,
Camp Pendleton.
Right. You're
it's right there. But so Cars and Coffee is easy.
And
Orange
OC's
County.
got a great car scene too. There's some amazing cars up there.
It does. Do you get up there very often?
My buddies and I, about 3 times a year, will go on a first thing on a Saturday morning and just drive up and down PCH in Newport Coast. You know, that area.
Yes.
And for until lunchtime, just to see what we can see and then go home.
And there's always some spectacular
Oh,
cars.
we've seen. There's no limit on what might be seen up there. I've seen a Koenigsegg driving. I've seen a Chiron driving. We saw an F40 one time. Like there was literally anything is possible.
It's insane up there. And dude, when I first moved to California, I lived off of Bristol, and in the little golden triangle right there.
Yeah.
And at that time, because I was so new there, I didn't realize how luxurious that was for me to be in that space because you're so close to that area.
Right.
And man, when I first met here, I'm seeing these cars. Like I would just go for a cruise down to the beach. I'm like, Pagani?
Right.
What is that doing here?
I remember one time I was up there and I reviewed a Wyra, and I'm driving the Wyra down PCH and coming the other way as a Chiron. And I'm like, damn, this is only going to happen in a few places in the whole world.
The place is out of control. It's like there, Monterey Car Week or Goodwood Festival of Speed.
Right.
Like, those are your options.
Right. It's like Monterey Car Week or Orange County, Newport Coast on a regular Saturday.
Insane, man. Well, dude, let's start this off. You've got a pretty impressive car collection.
Yeah.
Which one has the best quirks?
The quirkiest of my cars is that's a tough one. Probably my Lamborghini, my Countach, which I also now kind of have decided is my favorite. I love that car more than I can even explain.
Really?
Yeah, I use it a ton, and I just love it so much. It's
Countach.
Yeah, it's an 83 side draft. It's a 5-liter V12, and I just think it's the coolest car in the world.
Man, and so how practical is that, though?
It's more practical than I thought. So I bought it 2 years ago, and I still remember when I took it home, I was thinking to myself, I don't really own older cars. Like the oldest car I owned before that, I think, was like a 93. Oh no, I had an 89. I had an R32 Skyline actually. And
Wow, didn't know that.
yeah, years ago. And I was taking that car home, and I was like, I've made a mistake. Like this is too compromised. It's too old. It's carbureted. This is not going to be my thing. And then it just kept surprising me, and it's been surprising me ever since. And so I took it out. I sent it out for a really big service right after I bought it, and since then it has just been dead reliable. And I've done 2 years of driving with it with no issues.
Okay.
And I just took it in for an oil change.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So the Countach was like a poster car for me as a child.
Me
right?
too. I literally had one on my wall.
Yeah, and so I got to drive one, and I was let down. I'll be honest, but I didn't own it.
Which one did you drive? What did you drive?
Man, it was a white early model Countach.
The thing I've learned about the Countach is probably a lot of people have a similar experience to me the first couple of weeks that I had mine, where I was like, this was a mistake. I shouldn't have bought this car. But over time, I started to kind of fall in love with certain things about it. I love this. The sound is unbelievable. It's really one of a carbureted V12, Italian V12. I truly think probably the greatest sound in the car business forever. Like all those 60s and 70s Italian exotics with carburetor.
Wow.
But also just like people freak out. And another big thing about it was I have two very special sports cars that are really dialed in for driving.
Okay.
The Countach can therefore be a little bit less of people are always like, oh, it drives badly. It doesn't drive badly. It's just like, when you have it, you know that it's not gonna be like the ultra precise. It's a 42-year-old car, right?
And that's where it fell off for me. It was like I got in and I was expecting this modern supercar, and I drove it and I'm like, man, this really let me down. But it's because we're jaded by what we have today.
The point I would make to people is I think it drives cool. Like it doesn't drive. It's not that fast. It doesn't handle all that well. But no car from that era does. Like none.
Right.
But I think what it does is, people absolutely lose their minds when they see it. The sound is unbelievable, even if you're only going 40 miles an hour. And like I blast music and I'm driving this thing and I'm looking around like this is the coolest part of my day. Like this is so cool. And I pull into our office. It's like 8 minutes in the car and I'm like, that was amazing. I cannot believe that experience just happened every single time.
I'm so happy to hear that because I was really disappointed. But I don't, like you said, I don't own it. And it was one experience.
It definitely took some time.
So it grew on you.
Yeah, it grew on me. And also I had to start to really understand what it was about. And I think that if you go into it having any expectation for it to be like a really exciting car from the area where you think of an exciting car, tight steering and really fast, it's just not really that. It's an old car. Yeah. But I think in this era, this is a big thing that also has hit me with Countach. I get all these press cars that drive everything, all these electric cars. In this era where 0 to 60 in 3 seconds can be achieved with a $40,000 Kia, there's something fun about a gated V12 and a rumbly, crazy motor, and you're sitting so low, and the windows don't open, and it's like this is like raw in a way that certainly will never exist again.
Yeah, that's the best way to say it, and that's essentially. I mean, if you go back and look at the how that car's put together and built, it's essentially a kit car, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
tube frame.
Hand welded, space frame.
Made by people. The company that made the tube frames is still in business in Italy, and I looked them up on Street View, and they're just like in a warehouse area like this. They're like next to a tint shop, next to a shop that makes carpet like that.
So wait a minute. So you're telling me Lamborghini actually farms out the chassis
at that time? Back then,
but they still exist.
The company still exists, and on their website, which is like a '90s website in Italian, there's pictures of Countach. This was like clearly like a source of pride for them. It's like a fourth generation
that was
company.
Their feather in their cap.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. That is some cool insight.
I've done a lot of Lambo deep diving. Another thing that I really love about that car is I've gotten really into the history, and I just think it's so special to be driving what kind of has become a cultural icon and like an automotive piece of art. It's transcended cars. Like Diablos are cool to me and you, but Countaches are cool to like the general population.
Yeah.
And it's the first wedge car, and it was Gandini's kind of masterpiece, and the first scissor door car, and there's a lot of cool things about it. That
was the first scissor door car.
Yeah, first scissor door car.
Man, I didn't realize that. You're right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Man, that's such a cool car to have in your collection. And we're gonna dive into some of your other cars as well in this. But I wanted to carry on a little bit. I really would like to understand your take on YouTube. Is you're a giant in the space. You got 5 million subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
You make us look like a small YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. And you've been doing this since
13, end of 13, I think, or 15. I don't remember anymore.
So you got into
long
it.
time.
Couple years before us. It's crazy the growth that you've seen, and getting in early was probably integral in that, and finding your way into what worked and what didn't work. How did being on YouTube lead you into the cars and bids thing, or was that just a totally separate thing that you came up with?
What happened was, and honestly, you guys do a good job of this too, and some of our YouTuber colleagues don't necessarily, and I try to push them in this direction, but like, I always felt that YouTube was not necessarily a I don't want to say long-term strategy, but you can't control it all that well, right? Like there's a lot of
things are always
the algorithm
changing.
changed, and then Shorts comes out, and you have to totally rearrange. Suddenly you have to hire a Shorts editor, and you don't make so much money, and you got to figure out how to monetize that and figure out what Shorts hit, and there's all this stuff that's changing all the time. And it hit me at some point pretty early on that like this is great, and I was making good money, and my costs were really low. It was just me and a camera.
That's gonna be part of my discussion with you. Is like you've done a great job of creating content without spending a lot of money, where we spend a ton of money to create these projects in hours of labor and parts and cars, and you've been able to sort of hack that system.
The trick, I did hack the system, although the real people who hacked it were donuts. So what I learned was you guys in Hoovie buy the cars.
Yep.
And fix the cars, and that's costly.
Yes.
But eventually you sell the cars probably and make some money back, and you get sponsored and all that.
For sure.
But still, that's costly.
It is.
I borrow the cars.
Yep.
That's thinking. However, Donut, when they started getting big, they just talked about the cars.
They had 1 million subscribers before they touched a single car.
They didn't even have to have a car there. And I'm like, damn, that is the big brain.
They just one up Doug.
Right. Like I was flying to Florida. I was flying to Arizona. I was flying to the East Coast to shoot all these videos. And I'm watching James Pumphrey just sit talking about the F40 on a chair. And I'm like, man, that would have been better.
This guy.
But what ended up happening was it just hit me that like I couldn't control the algorithm, and it was going to be a problem. Someday I knew that I wasn't going to be as popular as I was.
Sure.
It happens to basically all these YouTubers. And I really wanted to get into a situation where while I still had a really big audience, I could kind of take them to a business that was separate from just YouTube.
That makes perfect sense.
And it's crazy to imagine, because when you're doing YouTube, especially when it's just you, the idea of trying to launch yet another property is like insane. Like your time is already completely consumed.
Yeah.
But it kind of had to happen. It was like clear to me if I was going to continue this lifestyle that I'd gotten into, like I had to figure out some other way and some smart way to get my audience to something that I owned.
Right. And looking at your YouTube channel, you've sort of tried everything. You've done podcasting. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, we're podding.
And you do shorts. You pretty much you have a bar across the top that basically ticks all the boxes. So you've tried kind of everything. You've put content into every box, and we don't do as much of that. We don't have as many of those, but I would say that we are constantly changing with the algorithm, and that is a struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a whole team here that's basically the job is to figure out what's, Evan and the media guys, that's what they're always looking at. It's like, oh, how are things changing? What hit last week?
Right.
Who did what?
See, it's hard.
It is. Doing it by yourself would be very difficult to try to keep up with all that and then pivot.
Yeah. Yes. And it was. And it literally was just me. I didn't have a second person on my YouTube channel until after we launched Cars and Bids. And it became clear that I needed an editor because I couldn't continue editing.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot of work.
It was crazy. What was I thinking? But it's funny because you say I got in early, and it was less work then. There were no shorts, there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram Reels. Yeah. Pretty much the only place people were watching this type of content was YouTube. Mm-hmm. And so all I had to do was pay close attention to the YouTube algorithm. And it wasn't quite as much work at that time. Now, the funny thing is, it didn't feel early then. Like, the earliest creators on YouTube were in, 2007, and I felt like I was late to the party. But looking back, of course, it was relatively early.
Yeah, I would say it was definitely early. And, there was a lot to be said about getting in at the time because the growth, you were, I think, helped a little bit. I mean, we were as well because we started in 16, which was way later than you. But I think we all sort of benefited from some quick growth in the beginning because the algorithm was much simpler back then.
Algorithm was simpler. Top Gear had just ended, which I often consider as a possibility. Like, people were looking for something.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, like it was right in that era. But I would say my absolute heyday was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Like those, it was I guess 17 to 20 was kind of like the 21. It was kind of like the crazy times. And when short form came out, life changed for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Life changed.
Yeah, it was a scramble to kind of figure out what was going to be popular there and what was going to work and what wasn't.
And I think a lot of us lost a lot of viewers. Like, I think a lot of viewers ultimately wanted to go and consume short form content. And we ended up doing a lot of short form content, and my views are the same or better than they've always been, but a lot of those views are now short form views, which are not as beneficial from a financial standpoint, from an advertiser standpoint, et cetera.
Yeah, it's almost like, do you lean into it and actually just commit, or just keep doing what you're doing and hope that it continues to work?
And I'm lucky because this all kind of happened, the cars and bids and everything, and getting fellow content people. It kind of happened at this right time where they not only did they say, hey, you got to lean into it, but we were able to finally have like an actual team to do this stuff. Because if I was just trying to make my own shorts, I don't think it would have worked all that well.
Interesting.
Too much work.
One thing I wanted to bring up that you may not realize is that I actually sold one of my cars through your site. I don't know if you know this or not, but I had a black Mazda RX-7 RZ that was kind of a rare model, and you reviewed it.
Yeah.
And this was before we had personally met. And
yeah, that's right.
I was super happy about the way that went. I handled it through a third party. So I wasn't directly involved, but I thought the site was brilliant. I thought the bidding process was really neat. The commenting section I really loved to watch in the waning minutes of the auction, seeing the people talk and the one thing I found really cool was I had a reserve on my car, and it fell about $1,000 short of that reserve. But Cars and Bids actually passed the sale through, even though we were $1,000 short of my reserve, and you guys covered that to get the car sale done.
Yeah.
That was really cool, man. So aside from you, taking the time to review my car, I thought that was really neat and cool.
That was a cool car.
And that will always live on the internet, which I love because I miss that car.
Where did it go?
It went to a gentleman out of my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, really?
Which was pretty cool. And he owns a Mazda dealership, and it now resides on the showroom floor.
No way.
I'm told, as like a showpiece, as a throwback Mazda history
That's
car.
so cool.
And I got that car. It was a basket case, and I bought it, imported it, and basically I rebuilt the car as far as, the engine was all in stock, and that's what I was looking for, was something. Engine was stock because rotaries are a pain in the butt.
Yep.
But it was stripped. It was somebody's race car in Japan. But I hunted down every part. I had parts coming from New Zealand, all over the place, to put the interior back to basically brand new. The one thing that it garnered was those beautiful bucket chairs that are so rare and wildly expensive today. They sell for like $20,000 now at this point. But I wanted to put that car back and enjoy it because I had a fully built rotary car, and the thing's a headache.
Yeah.
And it's loud. I can't drive it. I get pulled over. So I wanted a Mazda RX-7 to enjoy and understand the ethos of the car.
Right.
Lightweight, small displacement, rotary engine. Like, I think it was really cool. And honestly, that's one of the cars I missed the most.
Yeah. I loved that car. Yours, I did a video years ago with a stock US FD. And an RX-8, honestly, is one of the cars that has most surprised me. I love a good rotary.
Man, the RX-8. So going back to my history, I was part of this program called Mazda Rev It Up. And it was when I was at Falcon Tire. We were the official tire of the Mazda Rev It Up program, where they shipped. It was when the RX-8 was fresh on the showroom floor. And they had a program where they sent out a bunch of these RX-8s, and people would show up, and you could drive on basically like a cone course. And by the end of the weekend, they would have a fastest lap and all that stuff. And they had pro drivers there that would teach you how to drive them. But one thing I learned about that car is that chassis is phenomenal.
It's so good.
Throw the Wankel out the window.
Yeah, the chassis is really good, although the motor is also really good.
The motor is great, but I'm saying a lot of people ditch those cars because the motors failed.
You know what's funny about that car? I went to review one 4 years ago, and I got low expectations. I don't find the car particularly attractive, and they're also really cheap. So I was just like, I got to do one. I got to do an RX-8. So I did it, and I'm driving it, and I'm like completely blown away. I'm like, this car totally, probably more than almost any other car I've ever reviewed, that car surpassed my expectations. And they sell all day long on our site. 10 grand buys you the nicest one in the world. Like 15 maybe buys you like the nicest one. Like they sell pretty regularly for 6 to 8 grand. People don't want to mess with the rotary, and I get that. And a lot of those cars have troubles, but man, that is a hell of a car.
When the rotary is working properly, the chassis balance and just the way the car feels, it is just spot on.
And the smoothness of that engine and the smoothness of how it revs out. And it's such a shame that those rotaries are difficult to deal with.
It's the heel, unfortunately, the heel of the car. because when they work right, they are good.
Good. I mean, so good.
And I feel the FD is the same way.
Yeah. The FD, the benefit that the FD has that the RX-8 doesn't have, and the reason I'm not as surprised by the FD is it's a valuable car that is highly prized already, right? Like everybody knows that. But the thing that surprised me about the RX-8 was that it's not really that highly prized, so I assumed it would be kind of crap. And it is the opposite of crap.
Yeah, any day on auction in marketplace, you can find them for $1,000, $2,000. I have a friend that does EV conversions, and he's a big RX-8 fan. He still has a running Wankel RX-8 that he drives every day, and he wants to do an EV conversion. So he keeps bouncing all these marketplace listings off me. Here's one for $1,500. Interior's mint. I'm like,
Do it.
Just get it.
Do it and do an EV conversion. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah. So he's already got he's already got all the CAD done for the boxes, for the batteries, and it's
Interesting.
Yeah, he's gonna do it. It's just when he finds the right chassis, which there's a million of them out there, and they're basically free.
Yeah. People want to pay you to take it off.
So
there.
man, that's interesting, and I really just wanted to drive home the point that I've used the site, Cars and Bids.
I appreciate
and
that.
I had a fantastic experience on there with selling that car, although I miss it. So
we sell a lot of RX-7s. You can get back in.
I know, I will. I bought another one, I don't know, 6 months ago. I bought a couple cars as part of some guy was going through some legal troubles and needed to get rid of a couple things. I bought an Integra Type R and a Mazda RX-7 from Japan as a package deal. And I actually traded the FD RX-7 within a week of having it. I didn't even get it. I ordered all the parts to make it perfect. And I already traded it for a 1969 Nissan Skyline before the parts arrived to me to fix the thing.
Right.
So, again, another one slipped through my fingers.
Right.
100% stock under the hood, just a perfectly good running car, just needed some love, and another one slipped through my hands.
Would you consider a US? I never got into right-hand drive. That was my drawback with the imports.
Sure.
The imports are often in really good shape because the Japanese keep their cars really nice.
They do.
But right-hand drive, and it's a right-hand drive on that car is especially annoying because the transmission is so good that I just want to be going at it with my right hand.
Yeah, 100%. I think you were asking if it's tiring for me.
Yeah.
Driving right-hand drive. Yeah. So I think I obviously own more cars that right-hand drive than left-hand drive at this point. But
part of the problem is when you own both, and that was one of the problems I had when I had my Skyline. It was annoying to go back and forth. I always felt if I had that Skyline and it was my only car, it actually would have been less annoying.
Right. Yeah. If you drive them consistently, it's just old hat at that point. But yeah, you jump in your daily, which is left-hand drive, and you take that car out for the weekend. It's it's not as fun. But I will tell you, I've experienced most of my cars in Japan for a period of time. I've left them there for a year.
Dream. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I worked with Top Rank over the last 3-4 years, I guess since right before COVID, and I bought a couple cars not at once, over a period of time, and they store them until they become 25 for you.
Right.
And so 2, 3, I think the most I ever went was 4 times in 1 year to Japan, and they prep the car, you arrive, you jump in a taxi, you go there, you get your car that you now own. They literally rent the car to you. It has rental plates on it. You own it.
Tourist delivery.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So you basically rent your own car from them while it's there, and you see the countryside. So my chick and I, we literally have toured all over Japan in these cars.
Oh,
and then when
what a dream.
Oh man, it's something that I'm so glad that I did, because I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it again, but I took opportunity and just did it. And now that the cars are here, I think you're right. They're not as fun to drive.
It's also just a little annoying. There's some annoyances about it. And you have to constantly be reminding yourself to stay in the right part of the lane. There is a reel that I just saw that's circulating on the internet right now of an R33 in New York that the dude it's a right-hand drive car, and the dude it clearly is not.
Is he hugging the center line?
And then he just hits a Mercedes SUV in the next lane. Because he's not really paying attention. And when you're in a left-hand drive car, you position yourself in the left part of the lane. And that is instinctively what you want to do in any car, because we've been doing it for our whole lives.
Yes.
And I'm watching this reel, I'm I know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, he's going to merge over. So I do that as well. When I drive my right-hand drive cars, I'm so focused on making sure that I'm staying between the lines that what you end up doing is you end up taking I feel like, at least me, my right hip or the right side of my body, I try to place it almost too far towards the center lane.
Yeah, exactly.
But
when you think about it, you should be placing the right-hand drive seating position in the same place that you would be placing the left-hand side on the other side. But that's not in practice what you do when you're used to it. You end up cheating over a little bit.
Exactly what I do. And so over probably the last, 9 months or so, I've made a conscious effort to really be focused and sit my body basically where the right tire should be.
Yep.
And that allows you to be in the right location.
That's why K cars are fine, because a K car you can
put two of them side by side.
It doesn't matter. You can stay all the way over in the left part of the lane and you're okay. You can stay whatever part of the lane you want and you're all good.
Doug, I have an amazing photo to show you. Ricky, who is on the other side of the wall there working on the Integra, he and I both had Suzuki Cappuccinos at the same time, and they were both the same color green. And we bought them together, and we drove them to work one day, and we literally parked them nose to tail in one parking spot. That's how small these cars are.
You know, that is not a bad car. We sell a ton of those on Cars and Bids. We sell all those ABC cars on Cars and Bids. The AZ1, I think, is the best, but I barely fit.
So for those of you that aren't familiar, ABCs is AutoZam, Honda Beat, and Suzuki Cappuccino. So the AZ1 is technically a Mazda.
Yes.
AutoZam.
Or a Suzuki.
Suzuki.
A Suzuki Kara.
Oh, a Kara, yes. That's also a C.
That's the really if you know version of the AutoZam.
Yeah, exactly. So really cool cars. And I saw Liberty Walk recently made an F40 kit for,
which looks legit.
Yeah, I kind of want to make one. Like, I think it would be great for our YouTube channel.
But how cool.
You think they will?
You know, we've gotten takedown notices when we post those. You know how people turn those like K car, like Actis and Subarus and Sandbars into VW.
The Volkswagens, yeah.
Volkswagen has sent us. And eventually we came to an agreement with Volkswagen that they wouldn't pursue anything against us or the owners of the cars.
You're not doing it.
As long as we would stop listing them, and we did. Yeah, but it's important to Volkswagen to continue to maintain their ownership of that trademark, especially now that they have a new van.
Out, yeah.
Like I think that Volkswagen's position and the copyright world's position is if you don't continue to maintain your ownership of the trademark and you kind of are like, these are just some hobbyists, eventually the trademark is seen as lapsed, like you've given it up. And so Volkswagen kind of has no choice but to go after.
They kind of have to put it in a headlock and keep it under control. Yeah, I get that. But man, it's such a whimsical thing.
It's whimsical, and I think it's fun to do if you're just going to do it for yourself. But I think it becomes a little bit of an issue when you start to try to sell it. And
when it becomes publicized.
Yeah.
So I recently got a Suzuki Mighty Boy.
Oh, yeah.
And it's actually on the boat right now.
I can't wait to see that.
Well, it's not your traditional Suzuki Mighty Boy. It actually has a Hakosuka conversion.
Oh.
So it looks like a mini little 1969 Skyline. So somebody in Japan, like the Sambar with the VW conversion, did a Hako conversion on a Mighty Boy. And it is the coolest thing. And it's tiny.
Japanese car culture is one of the craziest things in the world.
It is. I love it.
I love it too. I went to Tokyo and I was in heaven. I think Americans don't often realize just how, I mean, we know Japanese car culture is cool because we've got the A86s and the Integras and all that, but like, there's not a lot of Japanese language. Like, there's no crossover. Like, if there are YouTubers in Japan who are car YouTubers, we don't know any of them, right? Because they all speak Japanese. There's no crossover there. But like, the car culture there is so crazy. It's so cool.
It's unique, and it has a lot of nuances that I think would be cool if we could adopt them here. But the problem is there's just this total difference in culture that you just can't. It doesn't translate. It doesn't
One
work.
of the things that I found most interesting, we're all obsessed, and we're obsessed for years with JDM stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, we were obsessed with when they wouldn't send it here, the Evo 6s and the STIs before they came and all that.
MR Wagon.
All that stuff, like R34, JDM. That was like the battle cry for me of my youth, because I played Gran Turismo and you played all those cars. We were all obsessed with it. That was like forums in that era. But you go to Japan, there's an obsession with American, like Chevy Astros. I saw a mint Ford Taurus wagon in Tokyo, and I have a picture of it. And it's, in Tokyo, there's like all these lights and screens on the street everywhere. It like clearly looks like Japan, and there's a Ford Taurus wagon, and there's like an interest in the like they have. I don't think the same level of interest that we have in JDM, but there are people really into American. I saw Escalades, like that kind of thing. It's like, oh my
God. It's just funny when you see an Escalade on the street in Japan. It looks like a freaking Hummer.
Yeah,
it looks just gigantic.
Yeah, it is totally
compared to everything else.
People do it and people want it. Yeah. The old conversion vans. I saw like many old U.S. conversion vans
during the heyday of lowrider trucks in America. So I don't know, maybe late 90s, early 2000s, it was really popular to export finished minivans with the crazy multicolor paint jobs that are slammed on the billet wheels and Budniks and stuff, shipping those to Japan. There was a huge culture of that over there. And when I go to Japan, I see that stuff.
To this day, yeah.
Massive lowrider culture, and they dress like Chicano style, it's crazy, man. They emulate what we do here just as much as we emulate what they have there.
That's so funny.
Which is very cool. I mean, it's laughable, but also so cool at the same time.
Seeing the Japanese and the Chicano, yeah.
Well, tatted up too, and tattoos are faux pas in Japan. You're considered yakuza if you have tattoos, but they're getting them, and then I guess when they go to work, they wear long sleeves. I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah. So, Doug, what are your first car memories? Like, how did they shape your passion for cars?
First car memory, my parents are not into cars at all. Zero. In fact, the story I tell about that is that, the Audi R8 came out in 2008, and about 2015, I get a picture from my dad on my phone, and he says, "Look, I just saw this car I've never seen before. It's called an Audi RB." He saw it in traffic. Car had been out for like a decade at that point, right? And he said, the RB. I'm like, yeah.
It does kind of look like a B, honestly.
So my parents didn't care at all, but I like Hot Wheels and Matchbox. That's like where it started. And my parents didn't know what to do with a kid who was into cars. My family was like a sports family, and I never really was. And they would try to take me to car shows here and there, but they really didn't know. And it wasn't until I got into college and I started to realize there are other people who are interested in this. I really kind of grew up. I knew there were, but I kind of grew up thinking it was a very extreme rarity, that someone would know what an E39 M5 was, right?
Really?
That chassis code. And I didn't really realize there was this huge community out. This was pre-internet mostly.
At that time, you were living in Colorado.
Yeah,
that's
I was
where
in
you
Denver.
grew up, right?
And that was another thing. Denver at that time was not a big car city. It has become really a hot place to live. But when I was a kid in Denver, this is the 80s and 90s, we had a Ferrari dealer, but we did not have a Lamborghini dealer. We did not have Rolls Royce. Aston Martin came later.
Shocking.
At the time, they didn't have any of that stuff. You didn't see those cars on the road because there weren't service points. And if you have one of those cars in Denver, it's not like you can go to LA to service it.
Sure.
There wasn't a service point, between Las Vegas and Chicago, right? It just wasn't happening. We didn't see Lamborghinis. It was not a thing. And so, it was not really a car.
That's pretty crazy, man, for Denver. It's such a metropolis.
Now it's become so hot, and everybody is moving there, and it's so exciting and cool, and there's so many people, and now they have all those brands. But back then, the only exotic dealer was Stewart's Classics, which was Ferrari of Denver, and they also had Lotus and Bentley and Maserati. Okay. But in that era in the 90s, when Lotus would a car would pull off the truck and they didn't know it was coming, kind of thing, from the factory, it was an unusual time, and the idea of seeing a Ferrari back then was so crazy. So I kind of grew up alone in this hobby, but I just always loved cars.
Interesting. First car?
First car was a 1996 Volvo 850 Turbo.
Wow, I was way off the mark there.
Why? What did you think?
I mean, the majority of the people that we've had on the pod have all been Honda Civic. Honda Accord, Honda Prelude.
My parents felt that my parents who bought me that car for $6,000 felt that we wanted something a little safer than a Honda, and I don't know how much 90s Volvo. I guess it's a little. Looking back on it,
well, they were
laughable.
tanks compared to a Honda, though.
I guess, but in by modern standards, both of those cars are disasters, right? You wouldn't want to be in an accident either of those vehicles.
Correct.
But I think that was kind of the impetus of that decision. They wanted a safer car, and I wanted something fun, and we kind of overlapped on a Volvo 850. Which was at the time the 850 Turbo. It was a front-wheel drive 4-speed auto. The 850 Turbos were only sold as auto in the States, but it had 222 horsepower, which for a 16-year-old felt like a pretty good amount of power. I used to take it to the drag strip.
Yeah, really? Did you?
Ran low 50s.
Did you modify it at all?
No, that car had so many issues. The high-pressure Volvo turbos in that era were disasters, and it was hard enough just keeping it on the road.
Wow. I have absolutely zero experience with Volvos, other than my chick has an 81 Volvo that's actually sitting out there in the parking lot right now.
A 240 or a 242 or whatever.
It's a 264 GLE.
Okay.
Super weird car. Had Peugeot. Had the Peugeot engine that was in the not the Pantera. Dang it, DeLorean.
Oh,
same piece of crap engine that's in the DeLorean.
Bizarre.
And so she got it handed down to her from her grandmother, who it was her baby. It was garage kept, always under a towel. And when she passed, it was given to her.
Don't you want to go back and tell Granny, this isn't the car to save?
Yes, exactly.
Buy a 250 short wheelbase for God's sake.
So we got it, and of course, she started driving it because she adored it, and everything just started going wrong. Yeah, because it sat, majority of its life.
Old.
But so now, like, it's sitting out there as a potential project for the future for us, and who knows, maybe it'll get an E-Rod or something. But
yeah, because that's kind of the only future in California with those cars.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get early 80s cars to pass smog.
Oh, dude, what a mess. And that Peugeot engine is just a basket case.
And nobody's working on it probably anymore.
Oh, man, we've taken it to every Volvo service shop in the San Diego area, and they're all like, get that thing out of here.
Not this one.
Not touching it. Take it to the next guy.
Yep.
So we had one guy that was working on it, and then once he finally was like, hey, I'm done. Then it came down here.
He was done because he was retiring, or he was done because he didn't want to touch it anymore?
He was done because you just can't get parts for that engine, and he was having to cobble stuff, and like he just got to the point where he's like, I'm spending too much time on this, and I don't want to charge you what it's going to cost me to fix this thing again.
Put an LS in it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. A GM, if you're listening, with an E-Rod crate engine would be fantastic in this Volvo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the plan, is to sort of do something a little more modern that'll pass emissions, and she can enjoy it, throw her surfboard on the roof, and that's kind of what she wants it for. So
yeah.
And it'd be cool to do burnouts in it anyway, but
yeah.
I don't know. I digress.
Does it still have blue plates on it? Like, is there
It does.
You got to keep that then. You have a responsibility to get that thing on the road then.
Man, don't put that on me, Doug. I hope she's not watching this. So, man, you grew up in Colorado, and I read that you went off after college and worked for Porsche.
Yeah. So
what was your role there?
So in college, I worked at the Ferrari dealer in Denver.
Okay.
And I worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I tried every job I could to be close to cars.
That's cool.
And then when I graduated from college, or actually I got an internship while I was still in college, but when I graduated, I got hired at Porsche Cars North America, which is Porsche is headquartered in Atlanta, and a lot of people don't know that.
Yep.
The U.S. arm, and now Mercedes-Benz is also, and Saab was too, but no more.
Saab.
Yeah.
What's that?
The 11 people who worked there. But so Porsche was hired me out of college, and I was responsible for allocation. So I was literally the guy who made all of 90% of allocation is done by a formula, and that's through dealer agreement. Like you can't change that. Like if the dealer sells 20% of cars, they get 20% of cars. Like that's kind of the rule.
Damn.
But some of it requires a little more nuance and finesse than that. And it was my job to do all the allocation to the dealers. Now
that actually sounds really fun.
It was a cool job, and our department got the most gifts at Christmas. Like all the dealers would send,
Oh yeah.
But
keep flowing the cars our way.
Right. I will say though, it's interesting. That job right now would be interesting. There were definitely opportunities where dealers would have slipped you something under the table. At the time, it was post-recession though, and it wasn't like that. Like Porsche in recent years has become, some of these cars have become so sought after. Yeah. But back then, it was 2010. Like the dealers were just starting to kind of recover. There were some cool cars, the GT3 RS 4.0 and 997 Speedster, a few special cars like that. But it wasn't quite what it became. And I left in 13 kind of right as Porsche's star was starting to take off, basically.
Yep. That's cool, man. That's a job that you don't even, even working in the automotive space, I didn't even know that sort of existed. Yeah. It's kind of really neat and allows you to get probably a pretty cool insight on where Porsche's moving cars more than others.
And also that job, looking back on it, that job, I get $48,000 a year from that job. It was not like I was rolling in the money. It was not a particularly glamorous job. It was long hours. However, one of the things I look back on and realized from that job was that it put you in the center of everything. So I got to learn how dealers operate, right? I got to learn how the company operates. Both the German company importing the cars and the U.S. company distributing the cars. I was right in the middle. And that job, more than any job I've ever had, really, I didn't make that much money from the job, but I took an enormous amount of insight from the car industry out of the job, which has benefited me 10 times over in future years.
That's neat. So that position really gave you an outlook of how the car business works and in an all-encompassing
And
view.
Looking back on it, if I had been hired in marketing or whatever, I never would have been able to kind of understand the whole process.
The dealer network, all that.
Yeah, and even going into manufacturing. I mean, I helped our planning team do option planning and like what's going to be the take rate on this, because you have to forecast that stuff for hiring. And I'm like 24 doing this, and it was really a special opportunity. And looking back on it, it like really, really gave me an amazing insight into how the car business operates.
That is really cool.
And that the importer, here's a little tip. The importer, the manufacturer, once the car is sold to the dealer, they're good. They're out of it.
No way.
More or less. Like, that was a sale. Like, we want to support the dealers, but like,
it's yours now.
It's the dealers. Like, the dealers are one of the other things I learned from this is that dealers are private businesses more than a lot of people realize.
Yeah.
People are always like, dealers are doing markups. Why can't the automaker stop them? It's not how it works.
No.
Like, the dealer is a business. And in some states, they are protected by very, very protectionist laws. Because
is that state by state?
It is state by state.
Okay.
And as a result of that, some states it's really hard to operate in. There were certain states where some of our reps wish we like did not have dealers because some of the laws were so pro-dealer. Because often what happens is car dealers tend to be politicians or buddies with politicians.
Sure.
They're usually a wealthy local business person. They usually know everybody. You got to go to big gyms to get a truck. And so he meets the congressman and he meets this guy and that guy. And they have a lot of employees and all that. So they become kind of powerful local people, and they get the local states to pass these laws that are a lot of times really pro-dealer. And so some things get a little sketchy.
Yeah, a racket.
Yeah, a little bit.
Holy crap. And I could see that happening in smaller towns and things like that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. So what was the moment you decided to quit the safe path of corporate America, writing cool articles, and jump into YouTube? I mean, obviously it was 2013, but...
It was 13, and I was 24, 25, and I just realized that I'm still young, and I could do this.
Man, you were 24.
Yeah, and in retrospect... Looking back on it, it's insane. But back then, I didn't have a mortgage. I didn't have kids. I had very little to lose. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to try to make this work. And I decided to quit this job to become, to write about cars as a profession. And that's crazy. Like, what I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? That was never going to be a path. But it obviously worked out, but it could have not.
It was
I
think it was a segue more than a path.
Apparently. Yeah. But at the time I didn't know that. Like, I thought writing about cars was going to be my life. And but it hit me though that I didn't want to. Porsche was cool. I had a 997 as a company car.
Wow.
That was neat.
That's dope.
But like, how I don't want to be renting these cars from my company. Like, someday I want to be able to afford them. And I knew that the path to doing that was never going to be like climbing the ladder in the auto industry.
Sure.
And so I was like, I'm 25. I don't necessarily want to sit at a cubicle for the rest of my life. Like, I'm going to give this a shot. And I kind of had the idea in my mind, if it doesn't work, I can always try to go back. I had made a lot of connections, and the car industry is incredibly cool. Everybody knows each other. So all of my, buddies worked at Porsche, went to Land Rover, went to Mercedes. I was always like, I could probably get hired somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. And
how did you meet the sort of the entities or the people that when you left Porsche where you went to work? Was it like Jalopnik and stuff like those type of outlets?
The thing that pushed me initially was AutoTrader. AutoTrader.com is also headquartered in Atlanta, and they were launching a content arm. And a man who turned out to be like the greatest mentor I ever had, he since died, but my friend Scott took a chance on me. He was like, hey, I think I gave him some writing samples. He's like, you can write, we need content. I've been given a content budget.
Wow.
And so the thing that I don't often...
He was early.
Yeah. The thing that I don't often tell people about this story is that I didn't just quit with no safety net. I had started writing for AutoTrader when I was still working for Porsche, which was
a bit of overlap.
Which was not really allowed. But
were you doing it under the radar? Or?
Yeah, because Porsche.
Did you have an alias?
I had a W-2 job at Porsche. Like, you're not supposed to then have another job, right? I did have an alias. I wrote with an alias, and
yes.
But they needed content, and they had a budget, and I was there, and I was
cool.
reliable. And if you've ever been in the car journalism or any journalism world, finding reliable writers is basically impossible. People are always like, what does it take to be a car journalist? Turn your work in on time and understand the difference between it's and IT apostrophe S. Those two things. That's it. That's all you need. And so I already kind of had that safety net. So I was making okay money with AutoTrader when I quit Porsche. And so it was like, okay, I already have this to fall back on, and then I'm going to try to do some other stuff. And then yes, Jalopnik, in the heyday of Jalopnik. And
yeah. So Doug, what was your first viral video? I mean, you went off into YouTube. Do you remember your first viral video and like What did that mean to you?
The thing that was interesting about my YouTube progression that is different from everybody else's is that I only started YouTube to be like a companion piece to my articles on Jalopnik. So I would post an article on Jalopnik, and then there would be a YouTube video that like went along with the article. And so the way I got traction on YouTube was people from Jalopnik clicking the videos that were embedded in the articles.
Gotcha.
And so I never, like a lot of YouTubers needed a moment of virality to establish themselves, and I never did. I sort of established myself kind of like a little bit. And obviously that sent the signal to YouTube at the time, hey, people are watching this. You should promote this more. And that ended up kind of pushing me out in the algorithm. But I don't, when I look back, I don't think I really ever had one video that like totally blew up.
Set the world on fire.
I kind of wish I did. Like I like that moment is so special for so many people, and I just was gradual and a lot of grinding.
One thing I'm gathering here is that you've sort of done things not the normal way. Like
Yeah.
you've kind of taken your own path.
And I think one thing I've done that I kind of realized looking back on it is I took some opportunities that either didn't pay all that well or weren't going to be necessarily a great thing just because it offered me either experience or learning. Like Jalopnik was paying me, I think like $50 an article or $20, something ridiculously low. But the exposure that it got me was, I mean, it changed my life forever. Which is funny because now I tell all aspiring writers, do not ever work for exposure. It is BS. Get paid.
Yeah.
But it actually worked for me.
Yeah, I think you're obviously very passionate. So I think that probably came off in your writing as well. And, you know, sometimes you just got to do something like that to get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
And to create opportunities for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's sort of really worked in spades for you.
Yeah.
That's,
In looking back, a lot of it was lucky. I mean, if I'm being honest, like I think a lot of people like to say, I did it all myself. I pulled myself up. There was a lot of luck. There was a lot of ways it couldn't have. You know, people ask me now, what I want to get on YouTube. What do? I don't know. Like YouTube's a lot different now. Like, I got lucky to start when I did.
Yeah.
That even just that aspect of timing was a big deal.
It was huge. And we started a few years after you, and I feel like we were still early.
Yeah. Looking back on it, that was an early time to do it.
Doesn't feel that way, as you mentioned. But
it doesn't feel that way when you're doing it. It feels like there's already so many people. Should I do? I mean, we might look back at now as early.
Still could be
in 20 years. Like we might be like, damn, if only we had, so and so had gotten started in 25. Like that would have been good.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some truth to that. So, man, you're known for quirks and features. That's something you and I have in common. I also love quirks and features about cars, and that's what I love about your videos. How did that start? Like, where did you get the idea to really input that into your videos?
The thing that hit me about YouTube early on was that a lot of people were doing driving review videos, which I found a little boring, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're sitting there watching a dude drive a car, and how many people can you watch drive a GT4 before you're like, okay, it has great inputs, we understand. And so I'm like through and through, at my core, at my heart, at my soul, a journalist, and I like notice everything. I'm incredibly observant. And so I was like, the thing that's interesting to me about cars is like, what do the buttons do? and what I ended up learning was that a lot of people want to know this stuff too. Like a lot of my early videos were like crazy cars that no one could ever have access to. Here's what the buttons all do. And people want to know how those cars drive. And Chris Harris does an amazing job of doing those videos, and they're very successful. But I was never going to be the guy who like gave you the most incredible driving insights.
Right.
But I could tell you, like, one thing that Chris Harris takes for granted, I think, is that he has been in all these cars so many times, he knows what all the buttons do.
Yeah.
But if I'm a guy who's
He's
sitting
callous to it.
but if I'm a guy sitting on my couch in Omaha driving an S2000, I kind of like, I'm curious what an NSX, like, how do you open the stuff? Like, what is actually, what is all the little stuff? What's the plaque say in the middle? I don't know any of that. And that was, I think, like I didn't look at it as like, oh, this is going to be my niche. I've got an opportunity I can seize. Like I had some sort of like strategy. I just loved it myself, and people seem to love it also.
Yeah. I mean, I do. And I love detail stuff. So for me, it's the pinnacle of your videos for me. And the one thing that you did for my RX-7 when you reviewed it was you showed people what the button on the dash does that only puts the headlights up and down. And a lot of people, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows it's there that owns an FD, but like a lot of people don't understand why it's there.
Cleaning, right? Yeah. Isn't that what they claim?
Cleaning and winter.
In winter, right. If it freezes.
Yeah, before you turn the car off at night, you put the headlights up. That way in the morning when the car freezes, the headlights are already up.
Won't be frozen down.
And they won't be frozen down.
I just loved that stuff. And I still do. Like, and I still to this day, it's been, I don't know, probably 10 years since I've been making those Quirks and feature videos. Like when I'm going to shoot a car, I am just as excited about it as I was like 10 years ago. I just had to put a video.
That's the piece that gets you excited?
I just am so excited to see what's going to be the deal with all these cars. We just had a video go up with an original Escalade, 98, 99 Escalade. And I'm like so excited to get into that car. And
really?
Well, like we know what the Escalade has become. What the hell was it like back then? Like to me, that is like so exciting. Like what was Cadillac trying to screw people over with, thinking that it was a luxury car? You know, when we all knew it was just BS back then.
It's a Suburban,
right? But I'm so excited about that stuff even to this day. Even all the press cars, and more cars are having weirder and weirder quirks to them.
Yeah. So do you go back the Escalade, for instance, do you go back and look at a Suburban before you do that review to see what the carryover is?
But usually I have a good enough knowledge of like cars like that. Like I've spent a lot of time in those GM, and it's generally true now. Like I've spent a lot of time in a lot of different types of cars. I kind of know in a Chrysler from a certain area, you got to press the button to get the key out. Like there's a lot of that kind of stuff, like that I've kind of already gotten to understand. But in a lot of cases, I still show people that stuff, even if it's like the 6th or 7th video on a Nissan that has this feature, and I still show it. You get a lot of new viewers, and people are still interested in it, and it's kind of cool,
It is. Which car, in your opinion, has the quirkiest key release?
Quirkiest key release.
I know mine.
There's some car that there was like a lever. I feel like it was Nissan's in some eras had like a lever or a button.
Really? Did not know that.
And Chrysler's always did, but I can't think of any others that were like especially weird.
Ford Mustang, Fox body.
What is the Fox body?
It has like a weird. It's on the column. You have your steering wheel, then the column. On the bottom left side of the column, there's like a button. I can't remember if you either pull it or push it, and then you have to pull the key out.
I think
so it's a two-hand operation.
Sometimes I review some of these cars, and I think like, why did they feel that XYZ was like necessary or beneficial?
I mean, I think then there's no Fox body. This is like the high times of car theft, I believe.
I guess.
So that was like a deterrent, but how did that deter? I mean, you're taking your key out of your car.
They probably convinced salespeople that they could tell people that it was a deterrent. But
I don't know. I remember that we had one up until a couple months ago, and every time I'd get out of it, I'd go to pull the key and it's stuck, and I'm like, and I had to look. Oh yeah, there it is, up by my knee, and I got to push the button.
I see so much of this stuff, especially in cars from that era, 80s, 90s, where I legitimately wonder, like, why did you do this?
Yeah, you made it harder.
You made it harder, or you did this and engineered something that had no benefit. Like, what was the thinking here?
Yeah. But man, the lever in the Nissan, I want to look into that because I didn't know that.
I feel like my R32 had it. Did it not?
No, they have a push button.
It's a button. Okay.
So you kind of use your. It's a one-handed operation.
Right.
You actually use another finger to push the button and turn it.
Maybe that's what I'm remembering. I had an S Cargo that may have had the lever. I don't remember now. I wish I had sold that car.
The weird little van?
It looked like a snail. That's why I called it.
Wait, you had one of those?
We imported one, and I loved it. And I never should have sold it. That's
it has like the lines down the side?
Some of them do. But mine didn't. It was flat, completely flat white. And there was also a window option that you could get on the side. But mine was like just flat, just straight up looked like a snail. And the big circular headlights, it was so cute. It was those Pike Factory cars that Nissan made, right?
Yeah.
And like the POW and the Figaro, which is the most famous one. I loved that car.
Yeah.
I never should have gotten rid of it. It was carbureted, and I was always worried about that. And now that I have my Countach, I'm like, what a stupid worry.
You're an expert now.
I'm an expert. I know all about pumping the throttle on cold mornings. That was cool.
Yeah, I just got my first carbureted car, and I'm honestly a little scared of it myself, even though there's no reason for me to be scared of it. The 69 Skyline.
Oh, yeah.
It the least desirable Nissan engine ever. It's a 4-cylinder, short-nosed car, so it's a 4-door, so it's not a very desirable version of a Hakoska, but the only thing that scares me about it is the carburetor, because I haven't had to fiddle with it.
We've never worked on. That's a thing.
Yeah,
it's like you have to like. But
it's
a guy. I'm not going to learn it either, because
why?
What's the point?
Yeah. So I know there's going to be a day where it gives me a problem. Luckily, I have a really good friend from the Rotary community who used to be a carburetor technician. So whenever there's a carb problem, we all go to him. And he tunes it up.
Those guys are all old. I'm sure this guy is old.
Yeah, he's my age.
You're lucky then. To find a carb
Yeah.
technician who's not that old is rare, right? Like,
Yeah.
because the last carb cars were like 90, basically. Like,
Yeah.
anybody who was working on, I mean, and then you worked on them through maybe 2000, but after that, it kind of became the plight of a specialist.
Black magic.
And now it's kind of viewed as black magic. And it's like,
It's such a
yikes.
simple thing too. It's just like, you know what, Mickey, you know how to do everything else. You could probably figure out a carburetor.
You could figure it out, but like it really
The learning curve,
There's
though.
some effort to figuring it out, and again, like this is not something you're ever going to really have to do again. Like there's not really a point to it.
Right. And case in point, I just, I don't, it's a fear, but at the same time, it's like, you know, if we get to the point where it's
Yeah.
giving me problems, I'll
Figure it out.
I'll
Yeah.
figure. So what's been your favorite car review experience and the weirdest or most challenging one that you've done?
The most challenging ones are always the most expensive cars.
Really?
Yeah, I just hate it. Honestly, I hate it. If I'm going to be, I'm just going to out
The
admit
most
it.
expensive
I'm going
car?
to admit it right here on this podcast. I just hate it. The liability is just so significant. The risk is so significant. People are always like, we did the CLK GTR, and I'm just anxious the entire time.
I was going to bring that one up because
It's
I
cool.
sat down last night and I watched that video. And first of all, I could tell in that video you were a little bit off. And maybe that you were a lot more animated, and to me, because I've watched a lot of your videos, I felt like there was something else going on here when you were doing it.
There's a component also to cars at that value level. The owner always wants to hang around, so there's always someone off camera, like kind of there, which I don't like, and I don't really do anymore. But obviously, we'll allow an owner of a car like that to do it. And actually, the owner of that car didn't hang around, but we filmed it at a museum, and some of the staff wanted to see what was going on. And you're always a little bit more nervous when there's a person there.
Yeah.
But also, just like that, everything about that experience makes me nervous, right?
Okay.
Like
I can
every
totally understand that.
little thing, like getting in and out of the car. What if you rip something? What if you damage something? Those parts are in LA, and even if they were, it's $50,000 for anything, right? Like that car, they made 35 of them. It was so scary to me, and I just like. Yeah, those cars. Everybody always like, oh, you drove a whatever. What was the best part? It was giving the keys back.
Yeah.
I love
the
it.
liability.
The most fun I have with those videos is when they go live and I see the reaction.
Yeah.
People loved that CLK GTR video. It was absolutely like a massive success. It was so exciting. That was. In order to have that excitement, you have to do the work, which is annoying.
And yeah, I'm sure nerve-wracking.
Very nerve-wracking. Do not want any part of that.
Yeah.
But I'm really careful, and I've never damaged a car, but it still makes me nervous every time I'm driving a $2, $3, $4, $8, $10 million car.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends with really cool cars, and I get tossed a lot of keys. Hey, go take it around the block. I always pass.
Yeah.
And I probably shouldn't. I probably should take those opportunities because it's probably maybe
But
something.
you can never enjoy that car like you would enjoy your own. That's the thing.
And
You
that's
can
where my
never-
head's at. It's like, well, I'm not going to bother because I don't want to shred this thing.
Right.
And my Countach experience, that was one of those where I was like, you know what? I'm maybe never going to get to do this, so I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
But you never drive it the way you would drive it if it was
Right.
yours. And also you have that back here of, oh man, if I damage this or
Right.
that, or somebody pulls out in front of
This
me.
car means a lot to somebody, or this car would be incredibly expensive to replace, or like in the car community. Okay, this is the other problem. Now that I've gotten big, if I crashed whatever, that would be like all over the internet. Like I'd be known as the guy. Like I can't have that. Like I don't need that rep either.
Right.
Like that would be bad. Not only would it be bad for me personally, but like our business. Like would people continue to even offer us cars? Like
Right.
knowing that this dude
Yeah.
crashed or whatever.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that because if you have an incident, then it's like, I'm not going to take my car to
Right.
Doug because
Right,
he'll smash
he'll
that
mess
thing.
it up. I just don't want any part of that stuff, and so like I do it, and I'm happy to do any and all those videos, and I always have, and I always will. But like I definitely go into it a little bit like, okay, I gotta film the P1 GTR, and it's fun. It really is fun, and actually that particular car I actually fell in love with. There's a few times where I've gotten over that worry and really actually enjoyed the car. But most of the time, I'm just like, usually when I do my videos, usually I'll drive the car first. And that's in part because I actually like getting that out of the way, and then the car is static, and the rest of the video is just the quirks and features part.
It's a breeze, yeah.
And actually, the CLK GTR is a good example of one where I drove it second, and it's on your mind the whole time you're filming the rest of the stuff. Like I gotta still drive this pig.
Yeah. And like I meant no disrespect. I could just tell you were off a little bit. There was something else going on here, and that explains a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
That car, man, that thing stopped me in my tracks when I
Yeah.
saw the thumbnail.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, all right, I got to watch this.
Yeah.
Because it's not very often where you get to see one in the wild. if
I got
ever.
a picture when I gave the keys back and I was leaving and he was leaving and we were both going our separate ways. I got a picture of him driving it on the road next to a Chevy Bolt. And it's one of my favorite pictures. He's just in traffic. There's the Bolt. There's a CLK GTR. And I'm like, this is so insane.
What a contrast.
Right.
Wow. And he just got in it and drove away like nothing?
More or less. The problem with that particular car is that it is so low that you cannot drive it on the street. And so in order to drive it on the street, the reason we did the street drive after the review was that he had a location where he knew the roads were pretty flat. And like if you go over anything, like any dip, it'll scrape. Because it's literally a race car. And as you know, race cars are basically as low as they can possibly be. They don't have to think about dips. You don't have them on the racetrack.
Exactly.
But that car is, yeah.
So there was a very wealthy social media influencer that has one of those, a hardtop version. And he was street driving the crap out of that thing. And I think maybe 10 years ago at Monterey Car Week, so when I was working at HRE Wheels, I think we made some wheels for him or something.
Yeah.
And so we were featuring that car, watching it pretty closely, and everywhere he took it.
Yeah, right.
The videos were all over YouTube and
Yep.
all over Instagram of him just dragging the front nose across curbs.
And then he had another incident later in a Carrera GT.
Okay, so we know the guy. Yeah. So anyway, it's interesting that as a homologation car, obviously they have to run them like that. And unfortunately, you spend all that money on that car and you can't drive it, basically.
Every one of those cars has 500 miles on the odometer.
Is that right?
Cannot be used. The owner of the car told me
500
or 1,000. The owner of the car told me there's one guy in Germany who's got like 8,000 miles on his, and he's considered like the god of the CLK GTR community. It's hard to explain how hard it's to drive. It's also it's a manual transmission without a clutch pedal, and you're doing the shifting. It's a manual transmission without a shift lever, but you have a clutch pedal. So you're doing the shifting with paddles. And that isn't easy.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because you can still stall it, but you don't have a gear lever. You got to make sure to get back into neutral. You're also, while you're learning this transmission, by the way, you're driving a $10 million car.
Yeah. Wait, so you're pushing in clutch, grabbing a gear, whether up or down.
And then you let out the clutch like you would on a manual.
But if you stall, you have to paddle back to neutral.
If you stop, if you come to a stop, like at a traffic light, which we did a few times, you have to be on clutch. Like you would in a manual. Or yes, go back to neutral, which is
very awkward.
Also
though.
okay. But the drawback of going back to neutral is then you got to do more shifting.
Yeah.
Which you don't want to do.
And now was this ECU rev matching?
No,
all that stuff,
yeah,
or?
it doesn't rev match, but it is synchroed. Like you're not, there's no worry there. But like I'm still terrified of the whole experience, and this adds another level of complexity to the driving experience. Right, I got to figure out how to drive a manual with a paddle shift.
Yeah.
While I'm also simultaneously driving a $10 million car.
Yeah.
While I am simultaneously trying not to scrape on anything.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. The owner of the car was sitting next to me, and we'd come up to nothing in the road. Nothing. And he'd be like, take this at an angle. I'd be like, what? Take what at an angle?
The pebble?
Right. Like
Wow.
literally like painted road lines he was like anxious about. And not incorrectly. Like the car really was that low.
And I'm hoping we don't have this problem with our Ford GT because it will have a full under tray under it. And
an expensive one.
yeah, very expensive.
Yeah.
So for sure it's going to get scratched up. But
yeah.
That's tough, man. I can imagine being in your shoes to have to, one, have the owner of the car in the passenger seat while you're driving this $10 million car and also learning how to actually drive it because it's such a quirky transmission
Right.
setup.
It's like one thing if it's, a F50, which I know how to drive a manual. It's just a car. It's still $5 million, but it's another thing.
It's more traditional.
Right. But it's another thing when it's that low and it's just sequential. It's like the whole thing is crazy. I'm like, what am I doing?
So this year at Monterey, I saw a ton of F50s.
Yeah.
And I've always been a massive F40 fanatic. But this year I got to appreciate the F50 because there were so many examples on display.
Yeah.
But one thing I didn't notice because they were all parked on the grass, how low are those actually?
They're pretty low. It's not excessive though. I don't think it's really crazy.
It's drivable.
And honestly, top 3 for me driving cars.
Really?
F50, Zonda, and Carrera GT. I bought the one I could afford, but the F50 and the Zonda, I think drive a little better.
You have an F50?
I have a Carrera GT. Because of that.
I was like, holy crap, I didn't know that.
No. God, I wish. I would have given anything to have one, but I can't afford it. But I have a Carrera GT. I think the only cars I've ever driven that I truly believe are better than a Carrera GT to drive were an F50 and a Zonda. Just amazing driving experiences. The F50 in particular, I think that I don't know which one drives better between F50 and Sonnet, but the F50 has one of the great manual transmission feels I have ever had. And despite the fact that when you look at it, it has this big presence, it's actually the most tossable car in the world. It is light and it is so tossable, and that is a very exciting car to drive.
I think that's what always turned me off about the F50 was that it felt like a big car visually.
Visually, it looks like one. And that was what I was expecting when I drove it. But it isn't.
And majority of people never get a chance to drive one. So
how would you know?
Me,
right?
I was always F40, team F40, because that looks like a car you can get in and just toss around.
Right.
The F50 looked like
F50 is so much better to drive than F40 that it's like hard to use English words to explain how much better it is.
Well, now I have to drive one. I've driven an F40 and that was great.
Yeah, it's fun.
And that's more of like very visceral, raw. But
F40 is very raw. F50 is like a very precise car. Very precise.
Now I have to drive one. Damn it, Doug.
They're hard to find. I borrowed David Lee's. He's like, David, he's like up in LA. He's like a car influencer. He let me drive his. He was riding with me. And we didn't drive it far. I drove maybe a half hour, but it was like,
that's plenty.
So great.
Whew.
Love that car. Wish I could have afforded one. That ship has sailed.
I mean, they've just... That GTR one, that was at...
Yes, that was crazy.
And the guy, apparently somebody made him an offer at, what, $15 million
he told
or something?
me told me someone offered him 40 or something.
$40 million?
And he turned it down. That car is weird, though. That whole story is a little bit weird. So that guy, Art Zafiropoulos...
Let's be clear. This is called the
F50 GT. Or GT1,
Which was the
only one made.
Only one in existence, and it was a homologation car?
It was, what was the deal? It was intended to be a homologation car, but then it didn't race or something like that.
Oh my God.
I think what happened was they were developing a race car, and they didn't, and he was close friends with Piero Ferrari, who was Enzo's son, who's still Enzo's son, still alive. And he asked him to make a car for him. Art owns a Ferrari dealership. Right. And so he has that relationship. Piero did make him the car under the condition that he would bring it to events when Ferrari asked, which is a pretty standard condition when a manufacturer makes a one-off car for a person. Yeah. And that, he would be a good steward. He wouldn't, sell it right away, whatever. And so Art's owned that car forever. And it's funny, I spoke to Art about the car at length because we both showed our cars at Quail, and so we both showed up at the drop-in at the same time. It just happened. And
coincidence.
And he told me that he's gotten huge offers on the car over time.
Not for
and he's had it since new, and he won the Quail with it and deserved to. I mean, I think that's one of the coolest cars ever. I used to play it in Forza, and it was like a cheat code car in Forza. Like you would win any race against any car with that F50 GT.
I didn't know it was in there.
It was in one of the Forza games. Yeah.
Wow. That's cool, man. Like that was one car that was at the event this year that was just breathtaking to me over a lot of other things that probably should have been. But that car, I don't know why, just stopped me in my tracks.
It's really cool. And as he told me, and I didn't realize until I was looking up close, it doesn't share a single body panel in F50. And it only weighs like 1,600 pounds. It's not that number, but it's some ridiculously light. It's
that's
absurd.
A go-kart.
Yeah. Totally crazy number. Yeah. Wow. Cool car. Yeah.
I mean, from the outside, it looks the same.
Yeah.
But you're telling me so
if you look closely, you start to realize, wait a minute, the line is in a different place. The panel line, and
now I got to go look at pictures.
Right.
Dang it.
It's like, I think he said it shared maybe the doors, but like everything else was completely bespoke.
Doors make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. When I worked at HRE, being around a lot of wealthy clientele, you find out a lot of interesting things. And one of the things that I found out while I worked there was that if you have enough money, Ferrari will build you anything you want. Yeah. And was it Glickenhaus?
Yep.
Has his own.
He built it, but yeah, I mean, Eric Clapton had him build a one-off based on the 458, and now that's like something they advertise. Like if you,
it's like a bespoke.
Yeah. And
you can work with their designers to design things. Like the Glickenhaus one has like a full greenhouse.
Yeah.
And
how cool. That's like
pinnacle stuff.
To me,
right
that's
there,
like
man.
the only justification for like becoming a really, really rich.
If you're into cars, I'd say you're right.
Like I think about the Sultan of Brunei, who commissioned all those cars in that era, right? And that was cool. Like the idea of someone just going to Bentley and Aston Martin and Jaguar and Ferrari just commissioning cars, such a dream. That's what I would have done. Yeah. If I'd had billions, I would have had these cars commissioned.
Yeah, so you literally have a one of one.
Yeah. And like a hatchback. You want a Ferrari station wagon? He had 5 of them. Like, that is so cool.
We can't make you 1, but we can make you 5 if that's okay. Yeah, sure, let's do it.
What a dream. That would just be so. Like, it is an incredible privilege to be able to own like Carrera GT. But what would really be a privilege is to be able to say, That's not cool enough.
I have a Carrera GT shooting brake.
I have a Carrera GT shooting brake because that's what I wanted, and they would do it because I tossed them enough cash.
That would be a dream car.
Pretty cool.
Wow. Unbelievable. And that's like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it even was really into, I mean, I guess it always was, but in the recent years, Porsche, Ferrari, they've all kind of come out and said, we'll do this stuff. If you throw us enough cash, we will do this stuff, which is kind of neat.
You got to wonder how that affects like the production line.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously
line,
they've got a Skunk Works area where they would build it one off. And
but still, like, where does it start? When does it come off?
Yeah.
I also am curious about regulatory. If the U.S. government caught wind that Ferrari was selling cars with different bodies, they would probably want...
in a one-of-one, no crash test.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that all would work.
Okay.
I'm sure it's still titled as a whatever, but, you know, an F12, but, like, it's not
Right.
anymore. You know, like, maybe they don't tell anybody and hope nobody at the port notices. And,
Race car.
Right.
So, yeah, that's interesting. I never really thought about it in that light. But I do know they typically, from what I understand, is they start with a road-going car.
Yeah.
So, like, you would get it built off an F12 or a 458 or 488.
But some of these, I've seen pictures of some of these cars, they end up not really even looking anything like that road. So it's like, okay, well,
yeah,
how did you slide that one through?
I guess it would have to be a race car regulation
that.
or some sort of display
Or
vehicle.
just kind of hoping. Yeah, maybe short display. It's one of one. They could probably get that through that way.
100% they could. That's interesting, man. I would do a little more research on that myself.
It'll never be relevant for us. We don't have to.
Yeah.
We'll never have a one-off Ferrari commission. So
Yeah, I will never be able to do that.
I think those are probably $10 million cars.
Easily.
So
Easily.
it's not going to be my world.
No, mine either. So tell me about the origin or the story behind Cars and Bids. We've sort of talked about it a little bit, but you know, you went into YouTube, blew up. You started Cars and Bids because you wanted to find a way to monetize a little bit more and make things a little more stable for yourself.
Right.
But it's been a couple of years now, and you're no longer the majority owner of Cars and Bids. How does that look for you now? And is that, you know, are you still fully involved with Cars and Bids? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we launched in the spring of 20, same time COVID launched.
Perfect.
We were right there together, and which actually, of course, turned out to be the greatest time in history to launch a car selling business.
Absolutely.
We didn't know that, obviously. We thought it would fail. We really, truly thought it would fail.
Another Doug hack.
Yeah, timing. That's why I say luck was a big part of all this. Like, I want to be really clear about that. Like, luck was a big part of all this.
Yeah, gotta be lucky to be good.
Yeah, I guess. But, like, that was real luck because we launched that. And I truly believed within the first few weeks it would completely fail.
Wow.
It was COVID. The stock market was down 25%. Like, the concept of launching a business. But the problem is by then we had already spent so much money getting the business even to the point of being able to launch. We had to launch. We needed to start making revenue. Like, we just had to. We had employees at that point. So we launched, and obviously the car market pretty much, you know, within 90 days of us launching, the car market kind of started really going the other direction. And it became clear, hey, these chips are not available. Hey, the used car market's going crazy. The Fed lowers the interest rate. Suddenly money's available. The PPP loans go out. People fraudulently use them like crazy to buy cars, honestly, probably.
Yes.
And so that worked out. And so, yeah, so we launched that spring of 20. So it's been now 5.5 years. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
And we... In the end of 22, we took a big investment from a private equity firm who has been a wonderful partner in us continuing to grow and continuing to make this a great business.
So it's PE, not venture capital.
Right. And I still am, I still own like a big chunk of it, like a quarter of it or something. And I'm still shooting car videos every day in our garage, and we do our pod, and it's going.
So your quarter is basically marketing arm and sort of advisor role.
And honestly, you know, obviously with their investment, I was able to take some real money off the table, and at that point, did not necessarily want to continue grinding at the same pace I had been for at that point 15 years. I in that exact time frame had a kid, a son, and then another one, and so it was a kind of a nice timing to, hey, I can like step off a little bit.
You're the king of timing,
I know,
Doug.
Trust me, I know. It's worked out okay. So with that in mind, we now have a content team. I don't edit the videos anymore. I basically only am like shooting the we got other people who figure out microphones and cameras and all that stuff.
Good.
So it's a better situation.
Sort of an easy button for you now.
Yeah, easier.
Show up, do the work.
And honestly, that's what I'm best at anyway. Like, if for a time I was running the business, I was doing HR. I was, that's not really what I should. Like, I make car videos on YouTube. Like, I don't belong.
Yeah. doing the behind the scenes
right?
stuff,
Like that's
yeah.
not really my expertise. So it's probably better for all of us, including the business, that like I am now gone back to the thing that where I'm most useful for the business, which is getting people to know about the business
Yeah.
and doing videos and stuff like
Which
that.
you do really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's obviously the growth.
Yeah,
and-
people are into the videos. Even still, after all this time, people still watching.
Well, how do you think that Cars and Bids differs from other online auction sites for vehicles?
I think there's a lot of ways. The biggest is just the interface, and our team is just so good. And I think
I second that. 100%.
one of the things I find when people use the other sites in general is that when they come to us, they're like, your team is like so like high touch, like easy to get in touch with, very quick to turn around the auctions. The platform itself is just very easy to use. Which I think is like really, really, really beneficial. And obviously another benefit is we got the content thing going. So like we do more content about the cars that are live, which I think brings more eyeballs, more audience to it, which is a big deal. The video like with your car, or even just talking about it on our pod or whatever.
It helps so much for the sale of that car. Without that stuff, I don't know that it even would have got halfway to reserve.
Yeah.
But you guys pumped it up, and
Yeah.
when you guys see special cars come through, you can
Yeah,
tell
we
that-
now have a featured thing where like I alone, which is a cool power to have, can like put a car at the very top. Like when you go onto the website, go to carsandbids.com, like the very top, there's this like roving group of like 9 cars that I've featured, and I've hand select them.
Those are ones that
I
you
think
saw,
are
like,
especially
this
cool.
is cool, yeah.
Right now we have a 2013 Jeep Grand Cherokee that has a Hemi V8 swap with a supercharger, but on the outside it looks like a totally bone stock Grand Cherokee. I was like, this is cool.
That's badass.
I love a good swap where the person keeps the exterior stock. That's one of my favorite things because it's so tempting when you're doing a swap and putting all that work in to like lower it and like put on some wheels and go the whole and like
Wolf in
it's
sheep's
right.
clothing.
It's especially cool when someone like stops and is like, no, I'm just gonna make sure no one has any idea what's going on here.
I had a friend that did a Volvo wagon like that, where he put a 2JZ that was making about 1,000 horsepower under the hood, but outside it even had the steel wheels. Like, yeah, that's cool.
I love builds like that. I think builds like that are the coolest thing in the world.
It is cool.
But yeah, I think those are kind of some of the big differentiators. We have a really good team. We got really good products, and I think that the results like kind of speak for themselves. We get like really good numbers on cars. We get a lot of buyers. We get a lot of sellers. It's really taken off.
There's heaps of eyeballs in there, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And the chat rooms, I mentioned this already, but I think the chat rooms is really fun. Like, it's really cool to just, even if you're not buying the car, bidding on it, like going in there and just watching the banter that goes around.
Totally. And that's so useful. I was just in a situation where I was trying to buy a car, and the seller, it became clear to me during the process that the seller rolled back the odometer, which is rare. You don't see that anymore. In the days of Carfax, it sounds like it's like a 70s dealer kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was clearly what happened. And
It wasn't just a gauge cluster swap.
he admitted to me after I caught him in his lie that he forgot that he had swapped the gauge cluster.
Oh, so it was a swap.
That's a yeah. Well, it
Back
was a
in the
swap,
day, it was
but
actually a rolled thing back.
it wasn't a swap. He actually just repaired the odometer. In this particular car, the odometers always fail. But when he repaired the odometer, he happened to reset it to 100 miles more than its last Carfax reading. It's like,
Strange.
But I caught him in a lie because the service records showed that the mileage was higher than that. And this is the kind of thing that's sussed out in those comment sections. And it's one of the reasons why I think it can be really beneficial to buy a car on one of those auction websites. People will find this stuff.
Yeah.
And I've become a little skeptical of sellers who specifically don't sell their stuff on the auction sites. It's like, I wonder why. Like
Yeah.
you don't want people to find. What are you trying to do?
Well, there's been some very suspect GTRs that have rolled through in the last year or two because they've become so popular due to the 25-year rule. But so a couple R34s that were not GTRs, that were conversions, that I've seen the comment section catch.
figure it out.
Like,
And that's the kind of thing.
this is a VIN swap.
That's the kind of thing that if you're not like you who knows the cars, you'd probably find that.
Yeah, 100%.
A guy who just has always wanted an R34, like me, like I love R34. I would love to get one. I'm not as sophisticated. I probably wouldn't catch it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, now if it's on an auction site and someone's like, hey,
Something
that's a
doesn't
different
smell right here.
That's a different conversation. You get that caught, and it like kind of helps. There are certain cars where
does.
I am sophisticated enough where I can
Yeah.
find that myself.
This doesn't add up, yeah.
But there are certain cars that aren't, and when I'm not, right? And most cars, honestly.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of nice to have the comment section either validating the car, which honestly helps a lot and can help the seller get more money, or saying, hey, this is BS, and that obviously helps, potential buyers beware.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what do you think is the future for car online auction sites? I mean, is there something that you guys might be working on that we could talk about that's like a tech or something that you see as an ad?
I think that I think that between us and Bring a Trailer, I think that it's very clear that the future in general is online auction sites. Like anybody who really wants to sell their car for the most or buy certain cars, a lot of these cars are kind of only going through these sites at this point. Like and it's kind of become clear that like this is the place to do it. So I have a suspicion that both of us will continue to grow because there's just like this is like it used to be Craigslist and there was asymmetrical information. The buyer knew more, the seller knew more. You were screwing a guy selling the car, or as a buyer you were showing up at Granny's door, buying a car she didn't know. And now
I feel like Marketplace is kind of an extension of that.
Yeah, it is.
It's a little better.
It's a little better,
but
there's
great.
Still some sketchy stuff that goes on there, whereas it's a lot more in the open on Cars and Bids.
It gets vetted a lot easier, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure like exactly where it goes from here, and I mean that's a lot of what we talk about.
Sure.
But I am kind of sure that like this will continue to be like the place. Like I personally wouldn't sell a car anywhere but obviously Cars and Bids, but the auction sites in general, like it is the way to sell a car. An enthusiast car anyway, at least in my mind.
That's good to know. I have 2 cars I'm getting ready to sell, and one of them is that Integra Type R that I spoke about, and I have an F31 station wagon that I've done up, and I want to sell those cars, and I've been kicking around the idea of just it's easy just to throw it up on Marketplace.
This is the thing, and it depends a little on what you're trying to get out of it. If you just want the car gone and in quick sale, Marketplace is still there, and it's always going to be
a
available.
reasonable price on it and get it gone. Yeah.
But if you want to make the most money, and sometimes I've had people, and we've had people on Cars and Bids buy the car from Marketplace from a seller who just wanted it gone, and then they dress it up a little bit, and they address a couple things, and they take amazing photos, and suddenly they make $15,000 that was left on the table by the guy who just wanted it gone.
Very enterprising.
Yeah, it is. And you start thinking, well, maybe you should have, not just wanted it gone. Maybe you take some good pictures and you devote the time. But I understand the desire to just want it gone, and I get that. Yeah. And I think those are the people we lose the most of our potential auctions to, is the just want it gone people.
Yeah, but you can't blame the guy that buys it to get it. The guy
that's the thing.
Buys the gone car.
People hate flippers, but it's like if the dude just wanted it gone, this was the choice he made. He knew this stuff was out there. Like
I've done it.
Yeah, right. We all got.
I mean, I did it with the black car. I bought it at a cheap rate because it was somebody's race car in Japan. I fixed it and sold it for double the money.
Right. And this is kind of the way it works. So like that's
okay. As long as
capitalism.
So and my thing is like if you're gonna do that, which I'm open to doing, I do it myself. Do a good job.
Do a good job.
Do the car justice. Do the new buyer justice.
Yep.
Provide as much information as you can. On my particular car, it was TMU because those gauge clusters and FDs go bad. It had been replaced in Japan. I didn't know what the mileage was. We did the research on the background history of the car. We knew what the last reported mileage was, but it was not the same as the cluster. You put that out in the open, make it clear to everyone that, look, I'm not trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes.
I always tell people, and this is the biggest thing, and it's the biggest thing on this rollback car that I've been dealing with. Like, the number one thing I always tell people is you're buying the seller. Of any car, you're buying the seller. I honestly and truly believe that like a seller who discloses that may actually end up getting more money than a shady seller who's selling a car with an okay odometer but is kind of generally sketchy. When I look at sellers on these auction sites and they write should of instead of should have, and like they're, you know what I mean? Like they're not taking good time to respond to comments well. They're clearly corner cutter people. They put the thumb in front of the license plate on Craigslist. Those people are not good sellers.
They've
and they
got
probably were
something to
not
hide.
good car owners.
Right.
And whereas the guy who is incredibly open, disclosing everything, here are the flaws, here's what I know, here was my use case, that is like the guy you buy the car from. And maybe even pay more to buy the car from just because you know what you're getting into.
Peace of mind.
Even if what you're getting into is a car with disclosed flaws, like your TMU car, that was told to you know that. This guy's probably not screwing you on whatever if he's willing to disclose a TMU.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, clearly the car didn't have 8,000 miles on it.
Right.
So you have to disclose that.
Yeah.
Otherwise you look like a fool.
Right. But there are people who try to not. Oh, maybe it is 8,000. I don't know. And it's like you get into that and the people you're talking to are too sophisticated. This isn't used car lots in the 90s where you can't Google something on your phone in 2 seconds. Yeah. Like you cannot get away with that crap anymore.
It's so valuable to what we do and I appreciated that. And that was one of the things I took away from selling a car there was that feature and that chat room that sort of brought light a lot of those things that a lot of, as you said, if you're not an enthusiast of that car,
Right.
you wouldn't know.
Right.
So that's really cool, man. And you're doing, a great service for the automotive community in general, buyers and sellers alike.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think so. I think it really does really legitimately brings that stuff out in the open. Sellers send hundreds of pictures, and if you're gonna buy a car from far away, it's kind of the easiest way to do it.
Well, you've got me sold. I'm gonna list those 2 cars on the site.
Bring it on.
Yeah, I want to do it.
Is the Integra pretty clean? Is it pretty stock?
Spotless.
I'd love to review one. We'll talk.
Oh yeah,
offline.
yeah. It was so again. It was a Japanese owned car, and it was a guy's light track car. When I got it, he had removed everything from the front seats back, and so I had to source all the panels and parts and replace the cargo area cover and I even went as far as to find the original oil cap, shift knob, steering wheel, because he had a Momo steering wheel in there.
All of that stuff came off Integras that were stolen in 1999.
I don't know, maybe. But
do you remember when that was going on?
Yeah, that was the thing.
I had a buddy who had an ITR and it found it stripped,
nothing,
just the shell in a ditch.
It was a real thing back then, and I had an EG6 that if you guys have watched our channel, you've seen my white EG6 SIRS that I had sitting in the shop for many years, and the reason it sat in the shop was because I was afraid to take it anywhere and let it out of my sight.
My neighbor, across the street neighbor, has the 94 to 97 Accords were like the most stealable cars.
They were, yeah.
And I have a neighbor who street parks his, and I'm like, astonished that it's, but I guess the thieves have moved on from, they're not like, they're trying to steal Kias,
Yeah, and back then it was a major problem.
Back then you couldn't take those cars anywhere. Insurers wouldn't insure them, and that was true of the Civics and the Integras and all those cars.
Well, and then you add into the mix being 30 minutes from the border.
Yep.
So if that car got stolen in our parking lot while I'm here at work, if I don't notice
if you're at lunch.
Yeah, if I don't notice it in the first 30 minutes to an hour that it's gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
You're never seeing that thing again. And if you do, it's dumped on the side of the freeway with nothing left in it. Yeah. So it's a scary thing. And so nowadays, I think that's calmed down quite a bit. And
whenever I see an ITR person, I always ask them, like, "Is there, you still fear this?" And they're like, "A little, but it's not really a thing anymore." Well, I think a lot of those cars were getting stripped so people could do street racing. Like that was a big, and that culture with those cars has died down.
Yeah,
right? It's Chargers and stuff.
Yeah, now it's those
Chargers and Camaros.
Yeah,
could take over cars.
Yeah, so Yahoo Auctions Japan is like my nightly creep. I go on there, and some people look at car auctions. I look at parts auctions, and so I buy a lot of parts from there and ship them over. Now the tariffs are screwing me completely because I could find deals there. Like the steering wheel I bought for it was somebody's takeoff ITR steering wheel that had been in storage for 15 years, and it looks brand new. And I got that thing for, I think it was $800. And so it's a lot of money for a steering wheel, but to put a car back to stock, it deserves that.
Totally. But now it's 800 plus whatever it is.
800 plus 27.5%. Yeah. So it gets expensive now. Before, and when I did this, when I rebuilt this car, put it back to stock, it was much more cost effective.
Imagine if all your parts were if the whole cost of the build was 27.5% more.
And now the price of the car goes up.
Is it weird for you doing an American car? You get this Ford GT over here? Like, this is different from your usual.
It is. As I mentioned to you previously, I'm a very detail-oriented guy, and so it doesn't really matter what car it is. A car is a car, in my opinion. This car is really cool because it's actually a race car for the street. A lot of people don't know that. But
have you driven one? Have you driven a?
I have. Yeah.
I'm curious how yours will end up. It'll look so cool.
Me too. It's going to be very light because of the dry carbon bodywork.
Yeah. I wonder how much weight you'll save just for that.
I'm curious. That's the stuff that I geek out on. Like, I'll put it on the scales and see.
We should go back to back on a scale, my car and your car, when you're done, and see like exactly how much. I'm very curious.
Would love that. I'll get the scales here.
Yeah.
And we can do it here. Anyway, if you guys aren't tuned into the throtl YouTube channel, we are building a Ford GT that's very special. It's
Watch the videos. They're excellent.
Have you watched them?
Of course.
Oh, I'm honored.
I love that car, and I've owned that car for 8 years. And when I bought that car, I don't know. The world had moved on a little from them. The new one was coming out, like whatever.
Yeah. There was a lull, right?
There was a lull, and I'm like pretty excited. In the last year, the values have started to come up. People are doing stuff with them again. Like it's kind of gotten interesting, and I'm like, and shocked that you like here we use a Ford GT in here. Like this is there was a time when it wasn't cool, and the movie came out. The Ford vs Ferrari movie came out, and I noticed right after that more people would come up to me. Is this the car from the movie? Is this the car from the movie?
Yeah.
And because mine's blue white also.
Okay.
And I think that like maybe started to spur some of the turnaround a little bit. But
Yeah.
there was definitely a period where
For
they were cool, but not like nobody was really thinking about them that much.
Yeah, I think once the new one came out, it was kind of like it got put on the shelf.
And then you know what happened? I think the new one is now kind of that. Like
Yeah.
I think people are now kind of putting the new one on the shelf. And the
this
old
one's
one
now
is like getting this
retro cool
research.
again.
It's retro cool. It's
Yeah.
still a manual. It's still a V8. It's a pretty analog car. Like that, the interest has come back in it.
The more I work on it, the more I realize how analog it actually is for '05. I think the Mustang had more technology at that point than this car.
The greatest decision they made was not putting a screen in that car. And when you really think about Ford at that time, it must have taken an enormous amount of restraint. The Mustang offered a navigation system with a screen.
It was terrible.
It was terrible. But when you
But
think
it had
about
it, yeah.
but it offered it, and all of their nicest cars would have had a screen. And so the idea of having the nicest car,
That's kind of when
not
Sync
have
was
it,
in its heyday.
yeah,
when it first
like
came
it's
out.
just starting that stuff, and it's like, oh my God, they could have put a screen in here, and
I
they'd
didn't
screwed
think
the whole
about it
thing
like
up.
that.
I think about that with Carrera GT too. It was right on the cusp of that happening,
Yeah.
and basically,
And it would have been bad.
It would have been bad, and basically any car that came out after that did have one.
Yep.
And the first one, the early ones, were total trash. The
Yep.
cars are not great because of it.
Yeah, and now that's one of the things about this car that I'm still a little on the fence about is the Macintosh audio system that came in it, which for the time, and I think even today, Macintosh is a really good, what do you say,
Audio
audio
brand,
manufacturer, right? Good home car audio.
Yeah.
We've retained it, and the reason we retained it is because the console that the head unit is actually in is cast aluminum. Like that's unheard of to me. Like when you put it in, you have to be careful not to scratch the
Just
paint.
scrape it, yeah.
Because every other car I deal with, it's plastic.
Yeah,
In and
sure.
out, plastic, stereo surround, whatever. This thing is cast aluminum. I literally had to get air tools out and buff some areas on it to get it to fit in nice. Because from the factory, it still had all the casting flange kind of flashing on it. And it was scratching the black paint. So I literally had to clean it all up and
How
put it
funny.
in. Which, honestly, I respect that they went
It's
to that
weird,
level.
though. They did stuff like that, and of course, the famous billet A-arms in the back.
Yep.
And yet, the turn signal stock is from a Ford Focus.
Yeah, and the door
Straight
handles
up.
are from an Econoline van.
Is that right?
The door releases on the inside, those are straight out of an Econoline.
And a lot of that stuff, like the window switches. I mean, the key, right? Famously, the key it's actually from a Lincoln LS. This is an interesting. It's not just a generic Ford key, but nonetheless, they didn't make a special key for it. Like it's weird that some stuff they like went to the trouble.
Yeah.
Like the gauges are very cool,
Yeah.
very special, very old school.
Yeah.
And yet the wiper stock is just like literally borrowed from the Taurus.
Yeah, they really leaned into the retro cool stuff, and that's why we're getting a bit of pushback on that car. Man, this whole segment was not meant to talk about this, but we're getting a little pushback because we got rid of the seats, and to me, the seats also, as our audience feels, were iconic to that car because of the round dimples, paying homage to the rivet style dimples or breathable seats that were in the race cars. But for me, like we're making a modern version of.
I would
of
also
05.
argue, and this is something people should take into account when they're thinking about this kind of stuff. The Ford GT is not a rare car. There are 4,038 of them.
Yep.
There are a lot of, and by the way, in addition to that, in addition to not being a rare car, an enormous number of people, boomers, just parked them.
Yeah.
Straight parked them. It is incredibly easy to find a 9-mile Ford GT.
Yeah.
And so, like, you don't have to preserve the car.
Right.
Make the car what you want.
Well,
Because
no,
there are
the-
very few that were kind of personalized.
Right.
Most of them were kept.
Yeah.
And cars with plastic on them are very much available.
Yeah, I mean, the guy we got the chassis from, he just recently sold one that had 30 miles on it, still had the plastic on the seats, and he sold it and bought a Celine S7.
Oh, damn.
So he does a good upgrade for him, I think, because he has a few of them at this point.
Yeah.
But $400,000 or $600,000 is not out of the ordinary for one in that condition.
And obviously, doing this kind of stuff, you're gonna not see that value return. But the car was crashed in the first place.
That's the thing, Doug. We have to keep in mind this car was saved.
Yeah, it was
This
saved.
car was off to the scrap
That's
heap.
my view. Like it was already crashed. That car was never going to be the top value car.
So
like,
let us have some fun with it.
Yeah, why not? Like that's the point, I think. And if you ever want to see a nice one, and for
We'll
the
call
people
you
who
up.
are complaining, mine isn't even that nice. I got 45,000 miles, but there are cars out there that are available. You can find one.
This isn't a museum piece. And the fact that we're saving a car that would have normally never seen the road again. It hasn't been on the road since 07.
Yeah.
And we're bringing it back to life.
Have you ever seen the GTX-1, the convertible?
Yes. I've only seen photos.
Did you ever think about,
I mean, this would be a good one to do it to, but I would have done it already before it went to paint. But, we took some liberties with it, Doug, and I think a lot of people, we're going to get some pushback from the purists and the people that wanted to see us build an OEM recreation, but that's not what we're doing.
I just don't understand.
We're building a custom car.
It would be one thing if it was a very special car where OE cars are hard to come by.
Some special VIN number or something, yeah.
But that's really not the situation.
No.
I wouldn't have done it.
No.
Do what you want, have fun.
Yeah. So
the race car body looks cool. I remember seeing him in the period.
Do you?
It looked so cool then, and it looks cool now.
Yeah, so we took some liberties on that. Like the side skirts were on the race cars were 2 pieces. I went ahead and molded those together, and we're making it a street car, something that we can enjoy, something that the guys can plan a weekend and head out to the track, drive it there, have a day at the track, come home. Like we build all these really cool cars that we can never enjoy because they aren't carb compliant, or
Right.
We can't register them. So this is one that we really wanted to take a step back, do a really cool car, but make it something we can use and get out and enjoy as a team. So that's kind of the motif of this car. Now, how comfortable are we going to feel taking a 6-figure car to the racetrack? I don't know.
That's the problem. We took Courage GT to the racetrack, and I was terrified. I was so scared. But ironically, when I bought my Ford GT, I was sleepless nights terrified of the cost. It was I paid $225 for it 8 years ago. I was so scared.
Another great timing.
Yeah. Although it didn't seem like it at the time, right? Like I was paying top dollar. You know what I mean? Like,
hindsight.
Yeah, hindsight. But I drove the Ford GT at the track, and I was like totally cool with it because I've gotten to know that car so well over these years. I've got 14,000. I've added myself 14,000 miles on the car, and so I was like totally fine driving it. But the Courage GT, I was so nervous. Like that's the thing about, as the car gets to a certain dollar, it's like hard to mentally.
And like I'm one of those kind of guys that drives my cars. There's like 2 schools of thought. It's like I buy this car, I want to as an investment, so I want to just keep the miles low and look at it, tune it up, but look at it. I'm the other guy. I tune it up and drive it. So I have R34 GTR. Everybody gives me crap because I drive it. Man, that thing's gonna go up in value so much.
The thing I learned,
but I want to enjoy it.
The thing I learned also with Ford GT, mine went up in value anyway. And that's,
even though you're driving it,
right? Like it would have gone up more if I hadn't. But my cost basis is still low enough that I've absolutely made money on that car, and I've still got to enjoy it. And I look at those guys. I bought my Ford GT from the guy who bought it new, and he was really involved in the Ford GT scene, and he knew a ton of people with him. And he told me there was a guy in the community who had a 0-mile car, never would take it out. Just sat in the garage. He just looked at it. It was pristine. He never wanted to, So after a while, he bought another one because he wanted one that he could use.
A daily for his daily.
But he was too nervous even to drive that car. And that sat in his garage. And that car remained pristine. And then he had 2 cars he wasn't driving. And then he got cancer and died. And that is something to consider. And I think about it a lot, that particular story, like use the car. Yeah. And especially with Ford GTs, because the 0-mile cars are not actually worth that much more than driven cars because they're so easy to find. Some cars, it might be a different story, but I think that you never know when it's all going to end. And you don't want to die thinking, man, I wish I had driven my Ford GT more. I had it. I looked at it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, my story is very similar. I actually was diagnosed with cancer last year, and I had bought these Skylines, and they were sitting in Japan. And when I had the opportunity to bring them here after I was cured, I was like, yes, get them here the minute they can come, and I want to drive these cars. And that's what I've been doing.
And you realize when something like that happens that it's like, this is why we enjoy this.
It's a wake-up call.
Totally.
And so for me, cars are now something to enjoy, not something to look at.
Because you never know when it's going to end. It really could.
Yeah, 100%. That's what sort of hit home for me and sort of changed my outlook forever on, no, these cars are made to be driven, and I might not be here tomorrow. So
I would also argue that some cars are like kind of art, and the benefit of the car is that it looks cool. The R34, the Mark IV Supra, the 993, the 4GT, those are cars that are part of the reason they're desirable is because of how good they are.
The way they drive, yeah.
And so, like, you might as well enjoy that aspect of the car.
Like your Carrera GT, I've already made money on it. I bought it before they went crazy. So even if I drive it, it's not going to change anything.
Right.
Yeah, it is it's worth what it's worth.
Right.
And it's worth more than what I paid. So
right.
I'm happy.
Right. And so you make money and you get to drive it. Best of all worlds.
Yes, exactly. So we've talked about a few of the cars in your garage. So Countach, CGT. I know you got a lot.
6 at the moment.
That's
I've cut it down.
Okay. I was going to say, I thought you had much
There
more
was a
than that.
time, and when we had kids, it just hit me like I need to focus my energy on something.
I was really interested to know which one you were most emotionally attached to, but I already know that answer. It's the Countach.
I think it's the Countach. The Carrera GT is a car that I had loved my whole life and wanted my whole life. And it is an amazing car to drive. Certainly the best driving car that I could afford, one of the best driving cars of all time. But from an emotional perspective, the Countach is the one.
Is there anything in your collection now currently of those 6 that is a close second besides the GT? Because I know you for the GT.
Those 3 cars, the Countach, the Carrera GT, and the 4GT, are just like, I just am obsessed with them. And I can't afford the next level of car.
Yeah.
And like an F40. I really wanted an F40, and I ended up not being able to get one.
Those things are out of control now.
They're out of control. And so those 3 kind of scratch every itch. The 4GT I can use anytime I want, drive it every day, take it anywhere. The Carrera GT is like perfect for like mountain drives, and like it is an amazing like precision instrument. And the Countach, if I want to like flex and just like turn up, like have a crazy experience. And those three bases
everything.
are pretty much covered. And when I think about, I haven't bought a new fun car in over 2 years. Which is crazy. I used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And when I think now about like what else would I get, there's nothing in my mind that hits me like this would scratch an itch that I need scratched.
Yeah, I need this. Yeah.
So I just like haven't really pursued anything else. I don't know which is of those 3 like is like the most, like the Countach I guess is emotionally the one I'm most into. The Carrera GT is my favorite to drive. The 4GT I use the most.
Yeah. Are the other 3 cars in your collection, are they as interesting, or are they just like daily cars?
2 dailies, and then one is a convertible Mercedes G-Wagon, which is an embarrassing car.
Convertible
Mercedes built
G-Wagon.
This is real. Mercedes built throughout the 90s and into 2014 a convertible version of the G-Wagon. It was a 2-door. It's an incredibly ugly car. Imagine a G-Wagon wearing a toupee.
I need to Google this.
It's really not.
A G-Wagon wearing a toupee.
That's what it looks like. But it's perfect for, we live in the summer, we live on the East Coast, and we can like drive on the beach, and I ship it out there, and my kids are upset. They're top down, 4-wheeling.
So is it like a Jeep where it has full doors, but like a
but the
soft
benefit
top?
compared to a Jeep is that it's a power top. So like the Jeeps, even today, like there's latches.
Yeah.
And this car, you push a button and the top's down, like an SL. Like like
Wait, so
any other
how
Mercedes.
rare is this thing?
They made 2,600 of them globally. They never sold it in the U.S. And so mine.
So did you get it from a left-hand drive country?
Yeah, it came from Germany, and we actually imported it pre-25 and federalized it, which took a year.
Show and display?
It's even California. No, because the G-Wagon Genesis is insane. As a car like import person, this is one of the craziest insane stories. Mercedes decided in the mid 90s, early 90s, they weren't gonna import the G-Wagon. They didn't see an interest in the U.S. A man in New Mexico bought the distributorship for Mercedes-Benz. He saw an interest. So he, for an incredible amount of money, he had Mercedes sell him the rights to the G-Wagon. He then went to the government, got him crash tested, got him EPA certified, and brought him over himself legally as the sole legal distributor. Well, years go by, and Mercedes-Benz is like, we kind of do want to sell the G-Wagon in the U.S., but guess what?
They had to buy him out.
They had to buy the rights back to their own car. And in doing so, they only bought back the rights to the 4-door, which is the only one they ever sold here. Russ is the guy's name. He was able to still be able to still be the sole importer of the 2-doors, including the convertible. But as a result of that, Russ created a path for anyone else to federalize G-Wagons. And so actually the federalization process for G-Wagon is pretty easy. Isn't that wild?
What a cool story, man.
That is like the story. I don't know of anybody else who ever did that, who convinced an automaker to sell the rights to their own product. He had this foresight that they didn't have. And he was selling them for crazy money to people in Aspen and, places like that. It was low volume.
Unobtainium.
Yeah.
But you can buy it here.
And then and I'll tell you this, the story I've heard is that when Benz then bought the rights back, he was selling the cars for 200 grand, and when Mercedes came in, they sold them for 80.
Yeah.
And his customers absolutely turned on him because he had sold them this like bespoke product that no one could get.
It up through the roof.
And suddenly anybody could have one from their Mercedes dealer for half the money.
Imagine you bought one and 2 months later that comes down the pike. Jeez.
But
I can see how he could be hated for that.
So that's the story with so G-Wagons are pretty easy to federalize because Russ went through the whole process, and once the process has been kind of blueprinted for federalizing a car, it's pretty easy.
Okay. So it doesn't really, the 25-year rule doesn't pertain to those.
And now the car is over 25, but at the time I bought it, it was like 20. And it takes some time to federalize a car. There's a lot of stuff you got to do. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. The orange markers, the gauge cluster. I mean, there's some stuff. It took a year, but
little things that you don't realize cars have.
We also got them got it carb compliant too, so that was another aspect of it.
Was it the same emissions equipment?
But nonetheless, California requires about 7 months. It's the same motor, and it doesn't.
I've been through it. I know.
When it's waiting up at that shop in Santa Ana, or wherever it doesn't do anything. It's just it's just paperwork. And
for that car, it is.
Nothing is. Yeah. For other stuff, maybe it's a little more complicated.
I don't want to get into it, but yeah, that's interesting, man. Because that EG6 I was talking about earlier, the Honda Civic was it was a Japanese car, JDM car imported, and it had the JDM B16 engine in it, which, for all intents and purposes, is identical to what we had here in the States in the Del Sol. And for whatever reason, I could not get them to federalize it. They said you'd be better off putting a K-Series engine in that car and bringing it back to us for bar than bringing it with the engine that came in. It's the exact same emissions equipment.
There's a lot of benefits to living in our great state. The car thing is wild. The car thing is wild. The standard should be you go to the tailpipe place. If it sniffs, it passes.
It passes. 100%.
That should be the standard.
Yep.
If it is legal, the fact that they go to all this trouble, my G-Wagon, they had 6-7 months for the same engine that was sold in the U.S., but because it happened to have been sold in Europe, they had to do all this.
Same problem.
What the hell? And of course, we all know there's only one shop that does it.
Yeah, it's a monopoly.
It's a monopoly, which kind of they create. The whole situation is so stupid.
And George is a great dude. The guy that runs that place, owns that place, is a great, fantastic guy. But I don't know how he worked himself into this monopoly. I've heard SEMA's working on opening their own one as well.
What was going to benefit us was this Leno's Law thing.
Yeah, would have been.
It would, because I assumed that if that had passed in 35 years, it would have also exempted all the imports that were 35 years old, which covers a pretty good swath. That's like 91. And it didn't pass because another good example, this is one of my favorite things about California too. They don't pass this because they're afraid of the emissions. We were all driving these cars.
Well, that's
we just have them titled out of state.
Yeah.
And CHP can't possibly enforce. You go to any cars in
They're
coffee,
trying, man.
half the cars are
from
out
Montana.
of state, or Montana or whatever, your brother-in-law in Arizona or whatever. We're all still doing this. The only thing that's happening is California's missing the revenue. And I'm sitting here thinking, don't you just want my money?
Well, so that's where I've thought about this long and hard. We've discussed this a million times in these walls. Why doesn't California, so Japan, the older your car gets, the more expensive it is to register. That's so bright.
Yeah. But
because it forces you to want to buy a new car.
California can't do that though, because that would be seen as punitive to poor people.
Sure.
Which is some of the reason behind a lot of these decisions they make, but it has these unintended effects for like fringe people, like car enthusiasts.
Which there's a lot of in California.
There's a lot of. And doesn't California want my money? I don't understand it.
That's the thing. Take my money. Let me legally pay for this car to drive it.
Almost everybody I know does not do Montana for taxes.
No.
Most of us are pretty happy to pay the taxes if it meant we can legally use the car. We're all doing Montana for smog.
And that's the point.
And the car isn't a polluter. And by the way, even if it was, 25 minutes at the San Diego airport pollutes more than any of my cars will in their entire life.
Exactly. That's the thing. And so if they would create a system where you could pay to own this car and have it legal on the streets with a California license plate and registration, you pay more. You
happy to pay
get X amount of miles per year, whatever you want to do. Because you get, insurance is that way. Oh, we get collector's car insurance, you get 2,000 miles a year, whatever it is. Put some limitation on it. Okay. This is a real enthusiast, and he's willing to pay for it. He's willing to not drive that car every day. Make your money, California.
Right.
There it is.
Right.
There's the
and by the
freaking
way,
recipe.
And by the way, there's no drawback to that for California. There's none. There's no fringe loss with
cars are
emissions.
here.
The cars are here. They're all being driven. It doesn't make any sense. You know, when I lived in Pennsylvania, if you were under 5,000 miles a year or 2,000 miles a year, you were emissions exempt.
Yeah.
And they did that for old people, like old people who
Yeah.
only drive to
Sure.
the hairdresser. They don't want to keep their car in compliance. It's too hard. That's pretty smart.
It's very smart. You still get your money.
Yep.
The end user's happy because they get to keep their car
Right.
and drive what they want versus what California wants you to drive.
Right. Right.
It's
And we're
insane.
all driving them anyway.
Yeah, and we're all driving them anyway. Now they are cracking down on it, especially down here.
Yeah, I
I'm
stopped.
finding-
Montana's out.
Yeah.
I think you can't do that anymore.
No, I think that ship has sailed.
But there's
Although,
so many other
yeah,
possibilities.
you go to Monterey Car Week and
Oh my god.
2/3 of the cars there are on Montana tags. Like,
Right.
but then I saw somebody made an Instagram video
Yeah,
of all the
yeah.
private planes flying out of the local Monterey airport.
Yeah,
Like,
like
suspect these are all guys
well,
are all
and
going
that's the
back
other
to
thing.
Montana.
It's hard, the Montana thing, it's hard to figure out exactly where's the person from unless you pull them over. And it's a lot of work for State Patrol, Highway Patrol. And then they got to actually establish that your car's been here, which is hard to do. And
Yeah, it's a mess, man.
it's too hard
And
for
it's
that.
really just to crack down on tax evasion.
Right, which most people do not actually want to evade. There are definitely
No.
a lot of people who do.
Sure.
But a lot of people are just doing this.
I
for
just
this
want to
one
enjoy my hobby.
thing. Right,
Have a cool car.
right.
I totally get it, man. Well, we're on the same page there. And I think there could be, Jay Leno tried to head that thing up and unfortunately fell by the wayside.
Yep.
Although I think we all saw that coming.
Yeah, I was hopeful. It passed a bunch of committees. Like, I was hoping.
Yeah.
And it's common sense. But common sense and legislation doesn't always, like, there's a lot of special interest. There's a lot of people who want to act a certain way to make it seem like they were tough on this or that, even if we know. Because I will say that whole process made me wonder, like, the cars are already here. We know they're being driven. These people are acting like by stopping them that they'll stop the cars at the border. Makes me wonder what other legislation is happening that I don't know about.
Yeah.
That also they're doing stupid things.
Not car related.
Right,
Stuff.
it's not
Yeah.
car related.
Like,
I'm
what else is filtering into
lost
this
a
country?
little faith in the whole process during this thing. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, so Doug, what are your thoughts on modern automotive trends like EVs, basically the subscription features that some of the cars are coming with now, or the tech-heavy dashboards? What,
EVs, I'm super into EVs for the purpose of that I think EVs should be used for, which is like daily commuting.
Run
I
around,
think they're like amazing for that. A lot of car enthusiasts like don't like to admit that, but the truth is, like, you get in a Tesla and you're in bumper to bumper on your commute. That's a pretty
kinda nice.
pretty nice place to be.
yeah, not bad.
Subscription features is a different story, but that has been slow to adopt because there's so much pushback.
Yeah, there is a lot. I have a brand new pickup, and there's some like Wi-Fi features stuff that you can pay for, and I haven't done it.
Yeah, same on my.
I used the trial.
I found it useful in the trial, but the moment the trial was up, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, guess I'm not getting that
Yeah.
stuff anymore because I can't remotely unlock it.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is the way cars are going. I think one of the interesting things that I'm noticing with new cars is that with EVs proliferating, the reality of cars is that automakers have to distinguish the cars in other ways than powertrain and driving experience.
Yep.
And so they're doing some weird stuff. You mentioned big screens. I mean, I'm in most new Mercedes models, you can play a version of air hockey on the center infotainment screen if you're in park.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And Ford has a drawing pad. Tesla has all this games and a drawing pad and a fireplace. And more and more cars are doing this stuff.
Fireplace.
And it's like kind of cool. Like, especially for a guy who does quirks and features,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like, all right, bring it on.
Yeah, let's see it.
It's going to be interesting to see how these automakers, because it used to be the way a Mercedes was distinguished from a BMW. Okay, well, the Mercedes was maybe quieter, but the BMW was more aggressive. Well, now these cars, the electric, they drive largely the same, and the
Yeah.
automakers are now needing to come out with other weird ways
Difference
to
maker.
distinguish, and a lot of it ends up being like
Tech.
kind of weird tech or like other weird, bizarre features.
That is interesting. My head's kind of in the sand with some of that stuff. I had no clue that you could play air hockey on the
It's
center
yeah,
screen.
they don't call it air hockey, but it functionally
Yeah.
is the same. And there's like 8 or 10
Pong
games. There's a
or-
Sudoku. I get in a lot of cars now where there's a Sudoku app built into the infotainment.
I gotta watch more of your videos. Do you feature that stuff?
Usually, it's gotten common enough though that it's like not even necessarily worth featuring. Like
It's old hat
The
now.
thing it makes sense when you think about it. You're parked outside your kid's soccer practice, or you're waiting for your wife to get out of work. You're picking her up. You just put it in park and play some air hockey. You know?
Yeah. Well, it makes sense, dude. I get it. Like normally you're on your phone doing something.
Yeah.
anyway,
Right.
so
Exactly.
Bigger screen.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the shift in automotive media from print journalism to YouTube dominance?
What a crazy thing.
I mean, for you, because you've been on both sides of
All
the coin.
sides, yeah. Yeah, totally. I remember when I started blogging with Jalopnik, like blogging was the new frontier. And we would go to Jalopnik, which was by far the biggest automotive website. We would go to press launches and they wouldn't give us the time of day. Neither the automaker nor the other journalists.
Really?
Like they were working for the St. Petersburg Press, the daily paper in Tampa, and they'd be like, Jalopnik, what is that? And it's like, we reach 1 million people a minute, you know, like you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And
they
now,
didn't understand.
And now blogging is like last
old.
year. That's
Yeah.
like old. Like that's like the old. And now it's like all about YouTube.
When we launched throtl, we were blogging for reach. For basically to get people to the site.
Right.
And that was really the only
that was what you did.
thing for that. Yeah.
And
reason
now,
for it.
yeah, YouTube and now it's short form has become like the next frontier. And is YouTube going to seem old when all the creators are doing short form? Maybe. Like, what a thing, right? Like, this has transformed so quickly. But
it has, man. Like we lived through it.
One thing I love about it is like it's really democratized. Like I think if you or I had gone to Motor Trend, like the first 15 years of our career would have been getting coffee for the people who actually did the road test.
For sure.
And one day, like you're 10 years in and they toss you the keys to a Geo Prism and they're like, you've earned this, take it home for the night, you know? But now like you pop on YouTube and like if you're good, you do well.
You can be successful straight out of the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's kind of a cool aspect of it.
It's really neat. And that goes back to you saying that, people ask you, how do I get into YouTube nowadays? And you don't really have the answer to that because you don't know.
I don't know. Thank God I already did it.
Yeah, I'm already established.
These TikTok guys, Forrest Auto Reviews on TikTok? Oh,
No.
man. He's like the me of TikTok. He
Okay.
goes through like the buttons and stuff, but in a minute or like 30 seconds.
Okay.
And he's so legit. He's just like, here's this, and here's this, and here's this, and here's this, and this car costs $38,000. And it's like, boom, that's the whole video. And I'm like,
so he does your thing, but in 30 seconds.
But like quick and on
short form version.
Short form, yeah. Oh. It's really appealing content. I'm watching. I'm like, what am I doing? No, I still think there's a benefit for the long form. I think it'll be hard to really replace long form because if you're really interested, especially in a purchase decision,
exactly.
Forrest is entertaining, but doesn't.
You're not going to get the answers you're looking for in that content.
Right.
Yeah. What you're doing is going to provide an all-encompassing view from 30,000 feet that's going to allow you to say, yes, I want this.
And to the advertisers, my viewer is more valuable anyway,
I
right?
think so.
Like the person who's actually in market is versus the guy who's just scrolling on TikTok in their bed.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So now that you've established yourself in YouTube, you're massive there. You've got cars and bids. How do you balance work and life? You've got 2 children, a wife. Like, it's got to be hectic.
Yeah, it is hectic. I definitely don't grind like I once did, which is to the chagrin of some of our cars and bids employers. I have put a lot more emphasis on family and community. Like that is a really, really important thing for me. So
that's great.
Occasionally, I turn down stuff that I would have never turned down.
Really.
Yeah, I made a rule in our office that in the Hyundai building in Fountain Valley, right where the 405 and the 73 meet. I made a rule I don't go north of there.
I have a similar rule. It's about that area as well, actually.
I'm sorry, it's just not gonna. So I get invited to stuff in LA. I'm like, nah, no, that's actually not. I'll go to LA for press launches, but I go to Palm Springs pretty often. I just did Mustang GTD out there, but like,
oh wow,
I will not do any more. I used to be like, oh my god, they invited me to this. I got to fly cross country. I got to do this, and then next week I got another one. I got to go to this place to do another one, and I've cut down on doing that stuff. Yeah. It's just kind of.
I think you've hit a point in your career where you're established enough that you can be picky and choosy about what you involve yourself in. Yeah. That's good. That's fantastic.
And I just want to be with my kids. Like ultimately, like I've met a lot of dads who use work to kind of like escape and like, I don't want any part of this. Yeah. And I kind of feel the opposite. Like I really enjoy the time with my crazy children. And the result of that is, I just like to be home every night. And so it's definitely cut down a little on the views, and it's made life a little bit less hectic because it's just kind of where I am mentally.
That's good, man. I think you need to find that balance, and it sounds like you've done a good job of.
And I grinded for a long time. I'll tell you, like I don't want to be like I earned this, because a lot of people grind for their whole lives and don't get this, but like it was a lot of work, and I'm
You're there.
Yeah, I need a little, like, you know.
Yeah. And there's nothing more important than family, man.
Right.
I mean, cars are pretty important.
We built our first Lego this week.
Hey.
Oh, big deal.
Really?
Built a Lego.
What did you guys build?
Lego police car.
All right.
Yeah.
How long did that take?
I don't know, 45 minutes. Pretty good.
That's
100
pretty fast,
pieces. Yeah, nice. Easy.
I still haven't done one of those yet.
You haven't done
The cool car kits.
There are a lot of good ones now. They have everything now.
I
There's
know.
a Countach.
Yeah, I've even seen like the Fast and Furious Skyline.
They have like any car you can imagine has been Legoized. That's not true, but like it's getting there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah, I actually bought because we did the tribute car last year for SEMA, the 34, and I bought one at the airport when we were on our way to Vegas. There just happened to be in a vending machine.
Yeah.
But it's still in the box. I need to build it because I haven't built one
It's
yet.
fun to build. I'm like now remembering how much fun Legos are to build.
Dude, you got to take the kids to Legoland. It's right up the
Right
street.
there. We've done it a million times.
Have you?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
The benefit of San Diego.
Old news.
San Diego's got SeaWorld, Legoland, and there was also a Sesame Street theme park here that nobody knows about. It's by the border. It's in Chula.
Really?
Between those things, you never have to leave, which is good because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I just want to hang out
Screw
here.
LA, man.
Screw LA. If it's north of the damn Hyundai building, we're not going.
Sorry to all my LA friends.
I am willing to go to the Hyundai building. I have reviewed cars there, and
Oh.
I've told them.
But that's where I draw the line.
I've told them, like, if we were doing this on the other side of the street, I would not have come.
You're coming to me. Wow, dude, that's crazy. It's funny that so many people from San Diego have that same feeling, though. So there must be something in the air down here.
It's just when you hit the 405, that's when the traffic starts, and I just want no
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah, it's bad. So is there a bucket list car that you still want to, one, review or own?
Own, yeah, I got a couple cars I still want to own, but I'm not doing anything about it.
We haven't talked about 918 at all, and I'm really shocked.
Zero interest in 918.
Really?
Less than zero interest in
Why?
918. It's an automatic. What am I going to do with an automatic? The whole fun of my sports cars.
Dang it, you just ruined one of my next questions.
The whole fun of my sports cars is that, like, I enjoy the experience.
Visceral.
918 is the fastest thing in the world, and it is amazing. I was watching Spike's Car Radio the other day, a fellow podcaster,
Yep.
and he had Seinfeld on, and he asked Seinfeld to choose between 19 and Carrera GT, and Seinfeld said he prefers 918 because it's easier. Seinfeld's getting older. I don't want easier. Like, I have a Mercedes station wagon.
Shocked to hear that.
I was shocked too.
Okay.
I have a Mercedes station wagon I can drive if I want easy. We have a regular old Mercedes wagon with
Yeah.
a third row seat. That's
Yeah.
a nice, comfy car.
Yeah.
When I get in one of my sports cars, I want to have an experience. And
Yeah,
then I don't
you're
think that,
there because you want that experience.
correct.
Yeah.
And I don't think the 918 provides me with the experience I'm looking for, to be honest. It's an
driven
amazing
one?
car. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I've driven a couple. It's an amazing car. It is incredibly fast. It handles unbelievably well. It is a really special car. I cannot for the life of me understand why they are more valuable than the Carrera GT. It is if the Carrera GT were double the cost, I would still rather want the Carrera GT over the 918. It's just more engaging.
Wow, that's crazy to me.
Plus, it's a hybrid. What am I going to do? Drive an automatic hybrid?
I'm with you. I just think stylistically the 918 is beautiful.
Beautiful.
And it's a,
Everything about it is cool.
Yeah.
It has the Le Mans engine
Yeah.
literally in the car.
Yep.
But like automatic hybrid. Didn't we settle all that with the Prius? Shouldn't we learn all that?
dang. Yeah, you got a point there.
And the 918 is really, really, really cool. I just like when I want to go have fun in a car, I want to have a analog experience.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you on that. I agree. And the dailies are the automatics,
Yeah.
and the fun cars are the manual cars.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I want to kick off a rapid fire round with you.
Okay.
We've kind of been through a lot of your past and histories and stuff
Okay.
like that. So are you ready? I got 10 questions. They're fairly simple, but you can just easy answers.
Let's do it.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
Manual or automatic for the rest of your life?
For the rest of my life, probably auto.
Yeah?
Well, I got to think about dailying, and I just like, I guess, it would be
Man.
hard. PDK though. you
All
know.
right, we're done.
What
I'm just
can-
kidding.
I just like. I guess
I'm
I
with
don't really.
you.
I guess I don't really sit in traffic that much anymore. But when I did, oh man,
Yeah.
it's too hard. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
well, my daily car is automatic as well, and I always have an automatic for a day.
If I had to literally choose for the rest of my life, and also think about when I get old, like I'm gonna want an auto, like when I'm 80. Like probably if I had to pick one, it would be auto. But for my fun cars, for the rest of my life, manual. And I will never own a fun car that's an auto, and I have never considered a fun car that's an auto.
And you've made that very clear. The 918 is not an option.
Not an option.
Most overrated car you've ever driven.
918. No, I'm kidding. LFA. Lexus LFA.
Really?
Hands down, absolutely.
Okay, I want to ask you more about that. Most underrated car you've ever driven?
Honestly, we talked RX-8. That's up there.
Okay. Wow.
I really like that. Early Vipers, I think, are underrated. There's a few. I'd have to really think about it a little more. Shelby GT350, I think, doesn't get the love that it deserves considering how good it is. P1 GTR, which is a very highly rated car, I think is even better than people realize. A few of those. But I think RX-8 is like literally up there near the top.
I can agree. You put price point on it.
I mean, it's so underrated. It's like you said, it's $1,000 for a chassis.
Yeah.
Like a running one is $4.
Yeah.
Can't get more underrated than that.
Alrighty. Weirdest car feature you've ever done?
There's a lot. But I think the weirdest.
What tops the list?
Probably the weirdest is the Aston Martin Lagonda's odometer is under the hood. And it is just a regular odometer like you have in your car that like the wheels roll, but it's under the hood.
I'll have to look that up. All right. Leather or cloth interior?
Prefer leather. Easier to clean, smoother, like it better. Cloth retains smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Car you regret selling the most?
Maybe that S-Cargo. Although,
really?
I loved it, and like, it was $8,000. I was like, I gotta get rid of this. What was I thinking? I think the one that I regret selling the most, though, I had a 2001 Mercedes E55 AMG sedan, a W210, and I love that car. And I could I must not regret it that much because I could go buy one, right?
Right.
But I do wish that I had a really nice one, and I wish that I had kept it. I love those cars.
I always wanted the wagon version of that.
Yeah.
Best road trip car snack?
I take big road trips. I usually just stop at fast food places.
Yeah?
I usually don't snack, but my favorite road trip food is get a Dairy Queen, which they actually I don't get the ice cream. They serve burgers that are really good.
The Brazier. Yeah. Dairy Queen Brazier. They have the grills in them.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
When I'm driving cross country, which I do twice a year, I'm always looking on the map for Dairy Queen on the exits. That's where I time my fuel stops with.
Man, that's got to be kind of tough. That's a challenge.
It's a challenge because like some states don't even have them. It's like I can't get gas in New Mexico.
Gotta clear New Mexico, because we can not find
no Dairy Queens.
First car you would hand down to your kids?
I don't want to burden my children with any of my cars, but the Ford GT would probably be the easiest for them to deal with.
Yeah. Well, that'd be a nice hand.
The Countach, though, I like dream of in the future, like, going to car event, like as a boomer with a folding chair, like going to car events and like sitting behind my Countach, like
put your little board up with the crying kid leaning on it.
That's like what I'd kind of dream of. So maybe that.
Would you rather have a hypercar garage or a collection of obscure oddball cars?
Are the hypercars automatics? Well, like, are we talking LaFerrari hypercars?
I mean, most of them are, yeah.
I probably the oddball cars if I could pick them.
Okay. Yeah, I have the same answer.
Like, I like hypercars, but I would rather have some weird stuff like that S-Cargo than like a LaFerrari Aperta and all that goes with that.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, that was fun, dude. Probably clip some of those out and make some cool content with them. So where can people find you if they don't already follow you?
YouTube channel, Doug DeMuro. Instagram, Doug DeMuro. And, of course, Cars and Bids.
Cars and Bids, baby. I'm going to be on there. I got 2 cars to list.
Bring them on.
Well, dude, thank you so much for helping shape the car community here in San Diego and how much you do for our local car scene here. I see you everywhere.
Yeah, thank you.
You get out.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
And that goes a long way, bringing up the youth. And to me, that's important.
Yeah.
Keeping this car culture alive and F-35s flying over.
Man, the first time I filmed out here, I was like, that's so cool. I'm going to be next to all the planes. And then like a month in, I'm like, I hate planes. I hate the Wright brothers. I hate aviation.
Oh, Orville and Wilbur.
F them. They should never have invented their thing.
Well, I mean, we're honored to have them flying over every day, but it does make it a little difficult to do our work.
Because I was outside, it's even worse.
Yeah. So anyway, dude, as I was saying, thank you again for all that you do for the car community. Cars and Bids is a fantastic site. I'm going to be using it very soon again.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And if you ever need a guest for your podcast, I would love to join you and be in the hot seat.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for having me up here.
All right, now let's go look at Ford GTs.
Let's do it.